And there. That'll do it. Okay. God, you're such a jerk, Streamlabs. This is absolutely not the reason everyone is angry at you at the moment, but it's almost worth being angry at you for this. Streamlabs, the application, not you. My lovely, glorious people. Hello, Luxie. Hello, Emma. Hello, Hendo. God, it's good to see you tonight. How is Monday? Asmos, good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining us. It is this Jimble's time. There we go. Well, we got sound from pillars in the background too. Go us. Man. You can hear Marvel in the background destroying something. She's such a good sausage. Oh, good dog. Yeah, shake it up. She's off to causing trouble. What a good dog. I am pretty excited to be starting tonight. And not just because I have tomorrow off work, so the usual melody of, oh, Monday is such a shame. It's kind of lessened. Because I just have leave for essentially no reason tomorrow. Hello, Marvel. Good dog. Yes. I get it. Leaving strings everywhere. What a good dog. So yesterday I finally caught Shang-Chi. It was a good film. Far better than I expected it to be as well. Given Black Widow was good but not super engaging to me, I was a little hesitant and glad that it turned out to be enjoyable. That's for sure. And I'm still currently in my Marvel rewatch. We have finished episode 10 of season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and oof, it's real Joss Whedon weekly TV, that's for sure. Can't wait till they kill someone's mother for dramatic purposes. In a way that will have a lot of 90s kids fondly remembering the event. But still, in retrospective, perhaps wondering why it was such a formative and important experience in their lives. That's media for you, right? I completely accept that the things we enjoy especially at the time, will change and adjust, and we may, I don't think expect to regret, but recognize that the things we enjoy will have different connotations as we age. And hell, fuck, maybe talking about pillars is a decent segue into that as well. Because it's different. Playing it again, playing it in time. You know? I also didn't even pick it up when it was first out, but it's been many years. If I click this news button on the main screen of Pillars, I can scroll back to the bottom. And I can see that the 1.05 patch for Pillars was released in 2015. So the game itself, again, is quite old. And if we can call back how we felt about the world in 2015, who we were at that point, and things we've learned, God, I was way less radical at that point. Can you believe it? Yes, hopefully. Oh, Asmos, you totally, exactly, right? I didn't kickstart it and regretted regretted that. And it was... Oh, and what else have I kickstarted and not played? I don't know if there's anything in sometimes. There are heaps of RPGs I've thrown money at and thought, yeah, good on you, lovely people. You have a good time, okay? And I'm really excited about what came about from those RPG Kickstarters, but I knew I was never going to play those games. And that's why I'm so hype about the Stone Top, and I keep bringing it up to my frequent role-playing groups, because, like... I'm excited to run that friggin' RPG, and it's something I'm not throwing money at and then hoping Maybe the developers will get the money they deserve for creating something, this piece of art, this role-playing game that I probably won't play myself, but I hope it does well. At Stonetop, I look at it and go, no, I'm absolutely running this game. This Bronze Age to maybe late Iron, very early Iron Age game about looking after your own settlement and improving it over time and being part of a community, and your dangerous adventuring is to benefit the communal good, and like I'm excited about that. Shame it's not out yet. Yes, Asmos. Is this Kingdom of Death? No, the Kingdom of Death is good, but that's like a highly lethal board game. Stonetop is like a less lethal, but definitely more lethal than definitely more lethal than D&D role-playing game. So not miniatures based and far less tactics, much more cinematic. Ask chat and disrupt me to find out what we should have for dinner. Well, are you ordering or are you making? That's a decent question. That's not very helpful, Amy. You're making tacos. Yeah. You're ordering because you're both watching streams. Alright, fair enough. Meals and Grills is close and always amazing. That's just how it goes. You probably could. Probably keybind that instead of alt tabbing. Okay. Yonbat Tong is pretty tasty. Get a serve of dumplings each. Do you recommend dumplings? Had many good memories of dumplings. Exactly. So, Asmos, I will show you a copy of Stonetop. In fact, let's delay the start of the game just by a little bit. Like, you may not actually have time to read it, but when it's out, I'll be trying to assemble at least one group. I know frequent commenter and friend of the chat, Games from the Wildwood, edited and provided assistance to this Kickstarter. So, there's some pedigree for you. Let's click the continue button. I'm always side questing. Of course I'm side questing in stream. Ridiculous hair. How do you have too much of dumplings? I don't believe you. Just shake it up a little. Theme pork bun's good, yeah, but get some soup dumplings and a side of soup. Have that. By the lake, which is not too far away from where you are, but I'm not getting more specific than that because we're on the internet, there's a burger joint that has 3 separate burger joints inside, and they're all marketed separately on delivery apps, though they're made in the same kitchen. And this is what's known as ghost kitchens. Yeah, absolutely. Marvel in the background. Yeah, this is known as ghost kitchens. It's much more apparent in America, where the delivery apps have had a larger footprint for a longer period of time. And I was always wondering what the minimum standard for those apps are. Like, how much of a kitchen or a shop front do you need to have? And it turns out in America, you know what the minimum is? The ability to deliver the things you're advertising. That's it. For someone to pick up the things you're advertising. That's it. So there are kitchens being set up inside shipping containers. Just like 5 or 6 of them in a row, all run by a single person, or like a one underpaid chef, like not even a qualified chef, meeting the barest minimum for the standards, and they're just shipping out as much food as they can as cheaply as possible for the shortest period of time before they get bust, or people receive their deliveries of obviously microwaved and reheated other cheaper frozen food, and like, actually I don't want this, I'm asking for a refund, and then they pack up and leave. And so I don't expect it to get that bad, but it is something to like keep an eye on and be curious about. And that's why I think Glorious Leader Chicken, and another 2 places, I think, which is 3 delivery places in 1 store on Emu Bank in Belconnen, is following that same model. I was curious.
Hey.
Anyway.
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
Ghost Bat from the Ghost Kitchen. Love it. Last week we very quickly completed Galloway's quest.
Hey.
And slightly more longer, we spent more time on Hylia's quest, and that was good. Now, I promised that we'd deal with the problem we created by fingering something. Thank you, Dead Man. Exactly. Supreme Leader Fried Chicken, Glorious Leader Fried Chicken is not a... Glorious Leader Fried Chicken is absolutely... like, it's not that much of a difference, is it? What was fingered? Okay, so in Rimagrand's vision, there were like Burger Project, thank you, yep. Rimagrand was like Burger Project. No, there are a series of snow elves walking towards a gigantic wall of ice, and they were attacking it with pickaxes and tools, trying to break through it. And it seemed like they were doing absolutely nothing until one of them got the smallest tiny crack, and the voice of Rimagrand was like, "Deal with this." And we said, "All right," and just Slime Shadows, our glorious hero, just stuck his finger directly in. And I thought it was so funny, I didn't want to actually open up to a vote. I wanted to say, no, we're going to stick our finger in immediately. It's hilarious. Alabama Fried Chicken and Patty Smith. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Gollum King. I appreciate it. Also, those should be different. Alabama Fried Chicken and Korean Fried Chicken, which is the glorious leader, well, Supreme Leader Fried Chicken, and in the end, they're pretending to make Korean Fried Chicken, but they're by dressing it up as North Korea, but the Korean Fried Chicken tradition comes from South Korea. This is driving me mad. It shouldn't. Anyway, so we're here just to like investigate what's going on in Rimagrand's temple, prison of ice. Lake in Old Song has begun freezing over ever since the arrival of a group of pale elves. Remember, the Fangs said, "Hey, sister, go investigate." Gone missing. Also, Into the White Void, done in the same place. Rimagrand showed me a vision of a gate, the frost-hewn breach, and the pale elves trying to open it. In the vision, the elves crumbled into snow, and I sealed the gate with an ice crystal I still had when the waking dream ended. Sealed it with an ice crystal? No, our Slam Shadows stuck his finger in, which shattered and broke off and became the ice crystal. First skill. The pale elf searches you with ice-blue eyes. She shifts and knits her fingers together. Welcome to Noonfrost. Most of the temple is torrently closed for sacred ceremonies to Rimagrand. She forces a smile and waves to the eastern doorway. The shrine is to your right. You're welcome to make your offerings to Rimagrand there, but the rest of the temple is off limits. I'm glad to hear it, Asmos. It's on my list when it's released in PDF form, because I don't need physical objects that often. I will be grabbing a copy and assembling a group and recommending it to other people. I'll probably be dragged into something by Games from Wildwood. I haven't seen them in ages, so that would be a good thing. It seems the cold has spread from Noonfrost. She stiffens. Rimagrand is the god of winter. It's been many years since his temple was attended, so there's nothing strange about a little chill around the place now. She lowers her head. If it bothers you, then perhaps you should go. Her eyes dart between the 2 doors on either side of the room. If that's all... Something's going on here, right? We know that. Tell me about Rimagrand. The white that wins. And that's where Slam Shadows is from, remember? She squids at you. You are also from the white that wins. How is it that you don't know Rimagrand? He's the god of cold, entropy, and collapse. Many see him as a harsh god, but few recognize that he also gives life in his own way. All things wind to a merciful end in his shadow, only to feed creation elsewhere. She frowns, gnawing her lip. But he's a silent god, and his ways are mysterious. To follow him is to accept inevitability without explanation. Grieving Mother. In this matter, and in the legacy, it seems the gods are often silent when we most crave guidance. Why is most of the temple closed? As I said, we're in the middle of sacred ceremonies. She enunciates carefully. They're rather complex and we don't permit outsiders to witness them. She glances at the elves over her shoulder. Others of my clan get rather touchy about them, which is why you should visit the shrine and take your leave. What are you doing here? My clan journeyed from the White That Wins to pay homage to Rimagand here at Noonfrost. We'd learned that this place had been abandoned for several years, and we felt it our duty to tend to one of our god's oldest temples. She rolls her shoulders back. It has been a long journey, but Rimagand demands endurance. No doubt he will reward us for ours. Sagani's mouth is set in a grim frown. I hope it is. I'm looking for the Frost-Hewn breach. The barest flush rises in her pale cheeks. As I said, only the shrine in the eastern wing is open. The rest of the temple is closed to visitors right now. I suggest that you make your devotions there and leave. Goodbye. Okay. So we know something's going on here, right? Absolutely. The pages of this tome glisten under a thick layer of frost. Pale of Vanquisher, Vesgel's here again, more healers. This kind of reminds me of, like, the Temple of Ethic Knoll, right?
If you say so. That'll do.
Places we're not strictly supposed to be. And it may even be a very similar layout. It's not quite as long as I remember, which is good, because I actually remember this part being exceedingly long, which is why we didn't start it last time. Here we are at the Noonfrost Shrine. The water of this well has frozen solid, trapping small fish from the lake underneath the temple. Refracted light dapples the icy mirror behind this statue. So we've been told, okay, say your prayers.
I'm on the trail.
And not in an aggressive way. And then get out. So we literally know something's going on here. It's absolutely odd. Should it be this cold? If it's Rimagand's oldest temple, or one of the oldest temples, why is it freezing parts of the city in a way we haven't seen before?
If you say so. That'll do.
And the things you can get away with a high stealth. Pale Elf Vanquisher wanders in and we just stay completely unnoticed.
If you say so.
Whisper who dares, Christopher Robin is saying his prayers. And we got the blue crystal key.
Hey.
I don't even know what the blue crystal key is for. We may not even need it. We've walked into somewhere we shouldn't be and we've started combat. While we could, I think there's more to learn from here before we start fighting with literally everyone. Right? We will. Being a CRPG, a lot of combat, it uses combat far more heavily than a tabletop role-playing game because it can speed those up.
All right, then.
So it has no hesitancy to solve problems with combat the way you might at the tabletop. And this is a lesson we repeat all the time. I'm going to speed through this dialogue. Yeah, exactly. And while you're exactly right, Asmos. And see, that is also true on the tabletop. It's always treated as an option. And yet, there is some sort of recognition that when you do the fighting, when you move into combat and you start the killing, you recognize that the game itself slows down to the tactical scale. Much the same way Pillars does when we get into combat, it turns off fast mode and enables slow mode. It doesn't force you to. No, Father. Turn back, do not cross any doors. The halls beyond us belong to Rimagand and his faithful. Okay, well, we've been given that kind hint and the barrier has been placed in front of us, so we know exactly where we can't go. I wonder if we'll get the same when we walk up here. Hold, Wanderer! Venturing beyond all doors is forbidden. Do not trespass against our will. Okay, so we know how far we can go. Each line and wrinkle of this warrior's weather-beating frown has been chiseled from the ice. So what we're going to do is absolutely ignore the thing we were just told
If you say so.
and start sneaking.
If you say so.
All I want to do is not get caught, so we're going to use a character that's actually got decent stealth. And hilariously, like, sure, she's a rogue, but she's also made of metal, so it is a little funny that she's got the best stealth out of all of us. And we got caught, so we'll quick load. Did that? I just... Oh, rebooting! Well, first of all, good to see you. And two, thank you so much for the subscription. Lovely to see you. Imagine if you're in a tabletop who found a non-combative way through an encounter, moved away, started setting up camp, but one say insisted on murder, keeping the loot and flipping off everyone else. Yeah, like, that's bad. Here, our quick save is closer along. We'll jump to that. Very subtle metal person, and she's also not, like... Before the expansion, you didn't get a rogue at all, and the one you get is, like... Sure, murdery, and that's a very common rogue thing, but she's also loud, low dexterity, max level. That's pretty good. Wow, we've hit the level cap for most of our characters. That's pretty cool. And highly motivated by murder. Clank, clank, clank. Yeah, and that's hilarious. I think it's just a good thing to have, to lean on that characterization of a not perfect. We don't want a potion of stealth. We want to use... There isn't a potion of invisibility you can use in combat. There is...
Right here.
A scroll. There. The Rite of Walking Shadows will increase stealth by 3. That'll be enough to give us an edge.
So.
Won't make it perfect, but perhaps we won't get caught quite as quickly. Right?
If you say so.
No, there are people behind that door. I think there are people in here. I got another key, a silver key, and another law book. Think we can get away with this? No, alright. We may need to go a little faster. Clank, 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 clank. Okay, see, this lack of patience is where I run into trouble when doing stealth in other games. I think the worst stealth game I ever played was called Dark. And you were a vampire. And it was... enjoyable when it was talking about vampires and we weren't playing one. Which is not a good sign.
Yes?
I agree, Yaloth. Dark, dark.
Right here. If you say so.
See, if we start to get bored, yeah, then the solution is, I guess, we no longer do stealth and we just kill things, right? But I'm not bored yet. And remember, the play on is, okay, now we kill all the elves. Yes, Luxie, exactly. And I think the best part about this is we can't call it a forced stealth section. Water drips from the edges of the alcove. Because it's not forced. Alright. Here's where we get the real test. If we kill this guy, is it going to turn the rest of them enemies? Ah, that's smart. I think that's what we've just done, right? We got caught enough that, yeah, they're all going down. It's also... I like that the divinity, the quest, this relates to Rimagant, the quest of Ends, the uncaring god of the cold. And it's also one where you are slightly encouraged, at least through NPC dialogue, to explore and stealth in before you decide, okay, kill everyone. Like, if we're being really fancy and perhaps overthinking a little, and certainly pretentious, which is my favorite, you could say that it is perhaps inevitable that you will get into combat here. Right? But the end, the death that will be caused is inevitable. You will stealth for as long as you feel necessary, all 3 strikes, again, very smart, and then you'll go forward. And I actually think that's also not a bad thing to do in your tabletop games, because something that you can do in computer role-playing games and you cannot in tabletop, for whatever reason, it's just not an accepted thing, is set a save point and restore to that point when you get an outcome you don't like. But I think that you should try that once or twice. Allow a GM to have such a dramatic and massive twist to the story, or a change, or like a terrible roll, and then let your players choose whether you continue with it. You can, but it ruins the other mage game. Mage is good though. A young Orland scrambles on the stone floor, pressing her back against the wall and baring her teeth at you. Her fur is patchy and matted. As you step into the room, she squints and turns her large ears towards you. A heavy sigh escaped her tiny body. Beast, take me. My eyes mistook you for one of them. Please get me out of here. What happened to you? When Noonfrost began freezing the lake, my sister, Laha, sent me to seek out the cause. She scowls at the dingy room. The pale elf Estromorn seized me before I could report back. These pale elves are behind it. They showed up at Twin Elms not long ago, saying they wanted to see the upkeep of Noonfrost. I don't know how, but they opened the frost-hewn breach at the back of the temple, sucks life and warmth straight into the frozen god's barren domain. She shivers. They've got to be stopped. It's only a matter of time before the cold spreads farther. And there we go. Hey, Corey. Good to see you. Yeah, see, Lexi, exactly. We also kind of knew she was kidnapped. She was sent to investigate, she didn't come back. She was either dead or held captive. You could do a weird Majora's Mask time skip if you start at the day where you have no knowledge of the events. The players have no knowledge, the characters have no knowledge. Because the players can pretend to not have knowledge. But it's hard. The characters can not have knowledge, but it's hard to pretend the players do. Yeah. Oh, okay, excellent. But you have, yeah. If I read the card, Jim. A common meme. Is fantastic. Absolutely. That's a great mage story. And a good thing too, because if you run a mage story based on mystery and secrets, they'll use their rank 1 or 2 rotes to find out literally everything that's going on. Deadman can tell you a lot about that. Okay, so, tell me about the people who captured you. She snarls, her pointed teeth flashing. A clan of pale elves from the white that wins. Devotees of Rimmergrand, also they claim. Their actions suggest other intent. They've come ready to fight. Wizards, priests, and paladins. A wizard named Glassval leads them, a man obsessed with the frost-hewn breach. My ears hear him through the wall, casting spells and calling upon strange powers. I don't know what he wants with it, but no good can come of it. Can you tell me anything about the frost-hewn breach? She shakes her head. Not really. Something to do with Rimmergand, the beast of winter. I'll follow Galloway myself. It isn't safe yet. Wait here until I clear the path. She eyes the door longingly and shivers again. Please hurry. Fancy Club. These bronze manacles gleam with frost. Though cold to the touch, these manacles are free of ice. That could be some measure of Galloway's blessing. Never play a mage game involving mysteries more than 3 players. If I not cleared the path, it depends. If she followed this way, she'd run into enemies there. She followed here, she'd run into enemies there. So, like, no. But as a video game, I don't know the path the NPC is going to take.
Of course.
And I don't think it'd be... It would be frustrating, but not too misunderstandable if they were like, she's going to run via a single designated pattern that she knows to the exit. Yeah, there are also like a group of them here that I want to deal with before I send them out. If this were a more ambitious game, and it's like we're thinking Cyberpunk, I'd give the NPC a stealth score and a pattern and the ability to watch which way she's going. Okay, you can't get up there. How about if you swap with that character? Deal with the sorcerer that way.
Let's have it out!
Here we are back to my usual status of not using incredibly deep tactics, but at least things aren't dying in a single hit or two, so we're getting a bit more mechanics out of it, which is what we're after. It's we were playing expansion / DLC content and it was a bit too rough. Poor Aloth was dying every combat. Instead, we wounded Devil of Karok by making her go ahead.
I'll see what I can find.
But it opened up the path. Like a good rogue, opened up the back line, plunged deep into that back section, dealt with the issue, and satisfied all combatants involved.
Death take you!
I'll think of something else horrible to say in a minute. Let me consider it further.
Got him! Lava be on seek!
He is only a fox, but Itamak is really good at forgetting any of his combat AI. Okay. Maybe I should give him a bit more credit. Look at him dealing with that Pale Elf Healer. Okay. I believe we're a bit more safe, and I'm happy to tell her to go ahead. Alright, Alwa. Make a run for it. Go. She scrambles toward the hall, her large ears angled forward, as fast as my feet can carry me. She scrambles for the exit on emaciated arms and legs. At the door, she glances back at you. Thank you, Estremor. And be careful. She melts into the shadows. That's good box text. That would be enough for me as a player to just say, okay, this character's going to look after himself. You say melts back into the shadows, and I think it would be an unsatisfying twist. And look, I'll come back to that thought. It only updated the status of the quest after she reached the door. You think if there were perhaps enemies here and she got into combat, it wouldn't? Potentially. Potentially. Anyway, I was saying, I think it would be an unsatisfying twist if
you say so.
she said, slides into the shadows and then, like, runs headlong directly into enemies? And your box text is like, nah, you're dead. Sorry. You thought she was fine, but it's not. Generally, you want twists that make you feel like, ah, man, I should have seen that coming. Instead of, what? Doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
Also, I want to raise the idea, again, that we are intended to run into combat here. And after a short period of explanation, we walk right in. Because with all these people here, even our max stealth character, with a right of stealth on her, remember, stealth is 9, and it's not max actually, it's still pretty high. 14 is maxed. How would she get this far in? Right? There were so many people here that she would get seen. It would be really difficult. Unless you're primarily a rogue character who had deliberately maxed it, who's your choices? Yeah. So I think you could even say it's intended that you could sneak up here and then say, alright, run, or I'll help you get out. And this is reason enough to go, right, okay, we're killing everyone inside. Especially if you're like, okay, learn you're trapped. There may even be dialogue here. It's like, hey, there's someone trapped. And they go, cool, okay, just wait right there. Just turn around for me. And then they bonk you. And then we fight. And that's why we have a bit of combat here. And then he's the end. He's Glassfall. We can have an argument with him. What twists that make your characters feel like their choices don't matter? Exactly, rebooting. We said... Exactly. As you near the platform, the temperature drops sharply. Something saps every last bit of warmth from the air, leaving the breath of your lungs cold as it escapes your lips. You see a doorway filled in with glowing ice. Silhouetted against it is an elven man, his arms outstretched.
What are you doing here? You're not... What have you done? This useless slaughter, Please, just let me finish what we came here to do.
The pale elf turns to look at you, his exhaustion written on his elegant face. He rubs one red eye with the heel of his hand, and you notice his little finger is shriveled to a blackened nub. Maybe he put his finger in. His eyes rise at a carnage around you. He looks back at the wall of ice. Ramagan sent me to close the frost-hewn breach. Benevolent for 3. So, because, Slam Shadows is a nice guy. His red eyes widen. You are a man of compassion. Would you trap us here another 100 lifetimes? He shakes his head, weariness creeping back into his eyes. We can't continue like this. We've got to find a way into the White Void. The White Void?
Rimergon's domain. A place where all things are mingled like snowflakes in a blizzard. It's a vortex of such chaos that even the beast of winter himself could not calculate the trajectory of the infinite particles of essence there. As souls are broken down over successive reincarnations, they become part of the White Void. It is a place where all things find perfect unity and freedom.
That sounds pretty neat.
The frost-hewn breach is a weak spot in the barrier between us and the White Void. Thin ice on a frozen lake. We've come from the white that wends to find it.
He glances at the ice-filled doorway. You want to be one with everything? Have you not seen the end of Neon Genesis? You want to open the breach?
So that we can die. Permanently. We've lived more lifetimes than any mortal should. We've been faithful followers of Rimergon since our earliest incarnations. He's the god of entropy. Why would he force us to be reborn again and again?
He shakes his head.
But if anything could pass through the frost-hewn breach, it would enter directly into the White Void. This death is overdue for us. We just have to find a way through.
Glassfell reaches towards the ice-filled passage, letting the waves of cold wash over him. Okay, it looks like we've got 3 options here, which are sandwiching in an excellent sandwich, i.e. 3 slices, between tell me about you and your people. I'm going to press number 3. Tell me about you and your people.
We call ourselves Glomfellan. Most here know us as Pale Elves. We hail from the White that wends, a glacial continent at the southernmost edge of Aora.
Sagani nods. They're nomads. Hardy lot. Some of the tribes occasionally spend a season in southern Nasatak.
We received a watcher in our lands a season ago and paid her to tell us of the origins of our souls. We wanted to contemplate the essence that fills us and consider how Rimergon might shatter and sow us once our days are spent. We were not prepared for what we learned.
He bows his head and presses his bloodless lips together. I don't think the Watcher was either. She explained that every one of us had been reborn whole into the clan over centuries. Generations spanning back to the first days our people set foot on the White that wends. We'd all been cut off from the mercy our God promises. At night, we began awakening, experiencing fragments of our past lives, old hatreds, dead passions, tangled memories. It illuminated nothing but the realization that we're doomed to live 1,000 pointless lives, never closer to Rimergan's salvation. Hamlet's lips are pressed together, thin and bloodless. A dark expression hangs in his eyes. We want to die. We want Rimergan to scatter our souls into the aether, that our million fragments might join with the White Void. And looks at his hands and a single frostbitten finger. My magic hasn't found a way through the frost-hewn breach yet, but there must be one. They're really emo. They're emo as fuck. But they're suffering something that our main character Slam Shadows is as well, in a less intense way, right? Because they're awakening to their souls. And their souls, in the cycle, having the same memories. They're coming from a culture that values the idea that at some point it'll all end. Which primarily sounds to me, don't live where it's so awful. Yeah, that's a good point, rebooting. Well, let's hurry this along. 1, 2, or 3, everybody. Time for a vote. First vote, 44 minutes into the session tonight. Let's go. You can't oppose the will of a god, or give him the glowing ice crystal. Rimergan gave me this ice shard to close the breach. Perhaps it will let you through. And 3, fine. You want to die? I can help with that. And remember, we are playing a video game, and it is perfectly acceptable to choose the funniest possible answer. Yeah, Divinity gave me this thing. He made it from my finger, so have my frozen finger. We'll see what happens. And, like, it's also particularly funny to imagine if, like, they walk through somehow and get to the white that wins, and they don't actually escape. They just end up in a colder, sadder place together as well. Yeah, that's pretty funny. If bad. Yeah, it's all... Deadman, you're also right. It is pretty funny that leave is straight up not an option. We cannot just leave. We got 3 votes for 2. That's pretty convincing. Anti-1's pretty good as well. I certainly have a long sentiment with we're not going to help all the divinities for no reason, because they've been pretty shitty. I think there's a theme in the writing somewhere. And 1 from Emma. With 4 people, that's quite a lot from our regular voters. And Golem King, no, I'm afraid we can't sell the Ice Crystal. Also, we own land, and we get taxes even in the game won't let me not get taxes. So, I think we don't need the fucking money. Give him the glowing Ice Crystal. Glassvale cups his hands around the shard, his face lit by its frozen glow, a token from the Beast of Winter himself. He closes his hands around the frozen crystal. You've given us a gift that's been denied to us for centuries. Thank you. He summons the rest of the Pale Elves, and they gather around the frost-hewn breach. You've lost an item, glowing ice shard. Okay, so this is good. Except I'll remind you that some of the Pale Elves attacked us, and we killed them before they were able to embrace their eternal end. You've lost reputation with Twin Elms. You've lost reputation with the Fangs. Well, whatever. This ice. The ice is as hard and solid as stone. The gleaming wall of ice seems to leach all of the warmth from the room. The cold sears your skin and you draw back before touching it. It is a decent question as to like whether we could sell it, and if we lost reputation with Twin Elms and the Fangs, by the way, we have lost a lot of reputation with Twin Elms. Eccentric, fatally mixed. But like, if we walked through, the game would be over. Congratulations, the game has ended. Not only are you dead, you're so dead you're not coming back. And in this setting, coming back is a big standard thing. Everyone's soul gets reborn. We've willingly said no.
Got it done.
White crystal key there as well. Thick patches of fur cling to the tent leather. Despite the chill, the bedrolls feel warm inside. What's this?
You got us.
Trap detected.
See this.
Come on. Windwalker. Unique quarterstaff. Good. We've got better. Sorry. The chair radiates in a natural, bone-chilling cold. Frost smudged with handprints covers these books. Winter's Woes. This will be a unique grimoire. I'll take that. Just in case there's a spell or 2 Eloth doesn't have. Yes. I sincerely guarantee that they would love to be compared to and have you jump directly into Planescape Torment. Look, that's actually quite a few spells we didn't have already. Congrats, Aloth.
Alright then.
What are the souls that aren't settling into Hollowborn doing? Has it been solved in a big obvious plot? Not on screen, exactly. It's been hinted at that they are inside the Anguithan machines. What are they doing there, you ask? I'm saying, you will find out. Stuck in the wheel, exactly. Playing chess, no, The souls themselves barely have consciousness. We know this because like when a soul is ripped out of a body and floating above it, small amounts of essence are left, and we even almost directly after death, we reach out and touch into them, they're nothing but sensations and memories. Oh yes, and the ones that aren't in the machines are in the wheel, and they will be reborn at some point. The Orlan stands under the open sky, taking deep breaths of fresh air. Feels like I've been reborn. She thumps you on the shoulder. Come by the moor sometime. The rest of the Fangs will want to meet the cunning Estremor that freed me. Alright. I mean, we'd already dealt with the problem in the moor. Primarily by killing every predator in there. Whoopsie. They are suffering from a bout of executive dysfunction. They're just stuck in the wheel. They'll get out there as soon as they can look up, okay? I'm just focusing. Hyper-focusing on something. Don't worry. Laha? Saved your sister. I found Alba. Her breath catches in her throat. Your own eyes have seen her. I freed her from noon frost. She's just enjoying the fresh air before she returns. She releases a gasp of relief. You've accomplished a great service for the Fangs of Ming. Laha takes another deep breath. I was wrong about you, Estremor. Do not see you truly. Please accept a gift worthy of your honor and skill. Ding ding! That's Sagani max level 16 as well, by the way.
Ready, Watcher.
Sagani. You straight up don't need anything right now. There you go, just extra deflection. Perfect. Sagani needs nothing to continue being one of our greatest damage dealers.
Hail, Estremor.
You're always welcome here, Carida. Oh, we made it. So, Nest of the Clouds, petition Hylia, return to Gallowayne, and the lives of the two figures. Well, I think we need to go to Elmshore, into White Void, go there, Speaker would die, we could do that on the way back. Return to Thwyneth and Northweald. We did this. This quest is still open because we freed them before. Yeah. Chamber to Bereth. Return to Redrick's Hall. We'll do that, but last. And the last few here. Okay, we're doing great. We're getting real close to the end here, friends. I know I've been saying it for a few episodes, but like... That's in Deerford. Well.
Of course.
Let's go. This more will not be the same, this I claim. Every time we walk past any one of those NPCs, they trigger one of their ambient dialogues. Which is, again, supposed to make you feel like your actions have had consequence on the world, and like work that into your tabletop as much as possible, even without specifically calling out the heroes as they walk past.
I heard tell you fought in the Saints' War. Which side was that?
It didn't matter much in the end. Both sides lost.
Just as well. Got no love for either.
Suppose I don't either these days.
So, your squad ever come through Coldmore?
Never made it up that way.
That was close.
Then we're still good.
That was very close. Me too, rebooting. I'm really looking forward to Pillars of Eternity 2. I'm pretty sure we'll take like a short break. Like, if I can think of something else that we could play as a brief palate cleanser, we might do that, right? Elmshore. Started playing it as great? Hell yeah. Is it on Switch? I'm pretty sure they've ported it to Switch now, right? Deadman, I know you do. But which suggestions? Not yet. That's a shame. Obsidian's busy with a lot of other things on their plate right now, so don't blame him, but still, come on, man. I bet she's here. What do you think? Yeah? God, I don't want to have to beat up a druid. See, you're all pretty smart. Maybe I should take your advice to figure out exactly what we'll play, huh? Perfect, rebooting. Glad to hear it. Hi, Ovi Erona. Just as a quick refresher, because it's been a little while, Bereth asked us to kill this elf because she has lived too long, extending her life through unnatural means. Bereth, as a divinity of death, has said, please do the needful. And while it was much more enjoyable to kill the last person Bereth asked us to kill, a dwarf who was proceeding over Kith's sacrifices for power, this one may be a bit harder. An elf stands on a dais in the middle of a clearing. The ground is blanketed with leaves in various shades of russet and gold. Her eyes are closed and her arms are folded in front of her. A curtain of autumnal yellow hair hangs in front of her face. As you draw near, she lifts her chin and looks at you with shifting hazel eyes.
Greetings, Estremor. You are among the ovates of the Golden Grove.
They brighten from a dull brown to a vivid green. Her voice is as soft as a breeze sighing through the trees. And you are?
High Ovate, an ancient elm among poles and saplings. We have taken root in the same soil, and the others grow in my shade.
Her eyes pulse a deep green.
Their roots nourish my soil. My branches give them shelter. Together, we grow.
I'm not getting all endings of Nier Automata. If nothing else, I know how long it is. And Golem King would do it for me. How long is a key question, right? Jumping into another 60-hour Persona game as a palate cleanser between the Personas doesn't feel quite right. What it should be is like, is there a isometric RPG that is highly different and short? I can't, fuck. Well, never mind. And we go slower because I read out all the text. Your essence churns like an eddy in the stream, Estremor. Speak the questions on your soul. I'd like to know more about the ovates of the Golden Grove.
Like the leaves of a tree, we are many sharing one source, one purpose. Living or dying, we nourish one another. The truths of the soul and of the body are written on every blade of grass and sung by every creature under the sun. We learn these truths and sing them back.
Disco is amazing. I really enjoyed it. I finished it once and should probably do it again. Disco also has decent Twitch integration where the votes are even faster and just appear on chat and you click it. And that's pretty good. Tyranny, Golem King, you're right. And the thing is, I haven't finished Tyranny, so that would be a good idea, but it's also quite long, you know? I want to stick with Pillars. It's my main goal. Daydreamed about if I had to finish streaming, what would I want to focus on? I'm like, well, Pillars. The main goal was to show people this thing I really like and why, and create a living document of that. And well, there you go. And so spending a long diversion doesn't seem to be quite right. And Hades is enjoyable, Corey, and as also, like, I could start a fresh save, and we could all just drool over how sexy everyone is, literally everyone, except your dad. Boyfriend Dungeon was good, didn't give that a try, maybe I should. And rebooting, it doesn't matter how appropriate they are. Otherwise, like, we just put a camera on me and I play Beat Saber. Half the screen out, half the screen what I see, done and done. Get some extra cardio in on Monday nights. Tyranny was comparatively short. Geez, maybe I got further than I thought then. Ours is not the song of the gods, but of Weretha. That is why the many of our numbers study the discourse of herbs that inhabit the skin of beasts. Your druids, are you familiar with the ethic knoll? A wrinkle of distaste curls her lip. A swarm of maggots on a dead songbird, worms hollowing a mighty spruce. They celebrate the withering of life rather than its budding. They seize strength from others instead of accepting what Weretha freely gives. Her eyes dim to a blackish brown. They take pride in their independence from the gods, yet their leaders demand an even greater sacrifice. Death for life. Strength from the spent essence of their petitioners. The ethic knolls offer another kind of servitude, one to kith whose souls have long since rotted. Well, they're all dead now. So you don't need to worry about it, Arona. Avowed is not out yet, dead man, much to my dismay. And I don't know. Yeah, it could be completely different, absolutely. Yeah, if we're talking, like, also, if we just want to do something completely different, I will boot up Final Fantasy XIV and you can watch me drunkenly tank. That's fun. I like tanking because it gets you the most attention, which follows perfectly. The ethic knoll should save lives, not end them. Also, this question, like, it doesn't matter, because they're all dead. Flecks of green open like buds in her eyes. On this, we agree. Barrett has sent me to end your life. It has continued for too long.
And turned your turbulent passions against me, no doubt. What is a god that his voice should carry so far? And what are you that you should so eagerly obey? The gods only have dominion over what we seed, and you would cede matters of life and death to them.
Her mirthless laughter sounds like water breaking on rocks. It's that or trust your neighbours. If you had my neighbours, you might think twice about that. Are you any different? You've extended your life beyond its natural span. Through work and wisdom. The greater the tree, the more fruit it may yield. She nods at the ovates gathered in the clearing. They are vines climbing an ancient elm into the sunlight. My growth sustains them. Should our harmony fall prey to a god's jealousy? And where exactly would she lead them? She's blind to the limits of her own wisdom. Shadowrun games. I have all of the Shadowruns. Well, Shadowrun Return, Shadowrun Dragonfall, and Shadowrun Hong Kong. And, like, it would be a good way to bring up my interest in playing Cyberpunk, now that I've purchased it and watched the 10-hour review by Tim Rogers twice. God, I'm terrible. And Stardew Valley, yeah, there's been a couple of large content patches I haven't played, because I used to mod it. I'd removed the mods to be on stream. And the best thing is, it could also be first come, first serve for a 4-person multiplayer on whatever farm I'm running, so the chat can join in. That fucking sealed it. We're playing Stardew after we finish Pillars. Well, I'll hear you at first, but while you type, hey chat, what do you think? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Resolve 1. Your growth stunts theirs. They learn nothing from you. If this is what you demand of the other ovates, you're no different from the ethic knoll. Or the gods. 2. The gods are wiser and more ancient even than you. It's not for either of us to oppose them. 3. I need Barrett's aid, and this is what he's asked of me. And 4. Attack. I've made my decision. Darkest. Unless you're at work. That's true. Murder is like leaving, but with knives. Anti 2. Again, we have a lot of that. And again, we agree. Darkest Dungeon. I don't have Darkest Dungeon. 1 or 2. And I would mod it so that every class is a sexy anime girl. It's got a lot of popular mods for that. I don't think very technically. And it... don't yet. Oh no, all of you. We have 2 votes for 1, and I'm going to hit 1 unless someone objects in the next little bit of time. Because I'd love chatting, but like I promise we're going to finish the Divine Quest today. We'll do some side quests before we jump into the pit. Good job, Gollum King. I'm glad you objected on principle. This is why anarchists can't get anything done. They're always arguing with themselves. Oh shit, we're being raided by Vosh. No! Okay, resolve 1. A storm of protest brews. A storm protest brews behind her colour-shifting eyes. She says nothing for several seconds, but you see the fury slowly drain from her face as her eyes fade to the brown of dead leaves. Finally, Arona lowers her head. Your words carry truth and shame. It was never my desire to diminish my followers, but I can see where perhaps my roots left no room for them to grow. Very well. If my season has ended, then let me pass with it. As she closes her eyes, the warmth and colour drain from her body. Her breathing slows, her ashen skin stiffening with the dull patina. When the last sigh that leaves her lungs, cracks carve their way across her flesh, dividing it into hardened ridges. Within seconds, Arona has petrified, her bark-encrusted face turned towards the ovates. Below the dice. Oh, it always feels weird when you straight up talk someone to death. And she did turn to stone. You gained reputation with Ethic Knoll. Who cares? They're dead. We walked in and killed every one of them. Quest of Dead is over to death. I also... What? Alright, good idea. I'll die. Also, the funny thing is, not only did we just talk her to death, but as we did so... we gained reputation for it. Two different groups were like, alright, it was pretty cool. That was tight, bro. Tight.
I've never been good with snares. Give me a bow any day.
The thing about snares is you can walk away and let them work. Nice. Easy.
That's the problem. I can never leave them alone.
So now, we can actually... This is a big one too, so ready your votes. We've finished all the divinity quests. And we're going to say thanks. And then one of them is going to give us a... They were going to ask us to do something and give us a boon. And while you can do all the quests, no, we're not jumping in the pit just yet. We're going to do all the side quests. Remember, once you jump into the pit, you cannot do anything else in Pillars. You're on the path to the end. That's it. The game is over. If we jumped in now, we would end the game tonight. Not a bad thing, but we need to go and deal with the champion of Berath all the way back in Gilded Vale. Stand once more before the shrine of Hylia. The stars of her constellation seem to glitter all the brighter. Pray to Hylia. You kneel. While you pray, you find the space around your body shifted and melt. You find yourself in a vision of the mountaintop temple. Yet you see neither worshippers nor a dragon, but a tree. Its limbs wrap around the perimeter of the temple, tapering into twigs and branches of all sizes and angles. They seem too long and too numerous to be held up by the meagre trunk, but they hold steady in the breeze. A single sparrow lands on the nearest branch. It watches you. Whistle to the bird. You whistle the first tune that pops into your head. The sparrow blinks its beady eyes and hops closer to you along the branch. It bobs its tiny head and opens its beak, and the rich, trilling melody that spills forth is the song of a chorus of birds. A massive flock descends with a thundering of wings and whooping, screeching, chirping calls. They fill the boughs of the tree by the thousands, birds of every shape, size, and colour, nestling next to one another. A breeze ripples through the air. You'll also notice that we're now talking to Hylia. The limbs sway, creaking with a strange, gentle rhythm. A few hundred of the birds flit from their branches, forming a brilliantly variegated flock in front of the tree. As they meet and swoop in unison, you catch a glimpse of someone looking back at you, cloaked by the flurry of feathers. Watcher, I believe we stand in the legendary court of birds. She closes her eyes and raises her face to the sky. I feel a presence, warmth, and hope.
You journeyed to my temple and found the dragon. Yet instead of driving it off, you allowed it to stay. The songs of my faithful will never again fill the nest. And the beast and her young will slaughter many to feed their hunger.
Hylia has 3 options. And a lovely voice. 1, 2, or 3. 1 has law, so generally we use our stats. The dragon sought shelter for her young. Are you not also the goddess of motherhood? 2. Dragons, like your birds, are creatures of the skies. Every life bears a cost. And 3. She won it by might. I won't take it away from her. And if you're paying attention, and you don't have to be, that's okay. You have a guide. Symbols. You may gather that option 3 is something Hylia would not recognize, would not appreciate. It's the divinity of motherhood and birds and art and song. It's a bad idea to just straight up say, oh no, she beat people up, she deserves it. And that's one of the reasons I went with Hylia first, because it's the clearest cut answer to show you that not only is the game taking into account the things you did, it's taking into account the next dialogue choices. If we walk up and say, none of these say lie either. If we walk up and truthfully say, Hylia, I did it because the dragon killed someone so she gets to keep it. If that's what your character believes, why would Hylia bless you? The divinities are selfish. We've heard that a lot, and many things in this chapter have helped prove it. We've got 3 votes for 1, let's do it.
And even in a creature so fierce you find tenderness. Your long journey has revealed a compassionate and generous heart, Watcher. There is something else I would ask of you.
The breeze falters, a dove coos. The massed flock wheels around the temple. I came to you for aid. I need to get to Sun and Shadow. The birds return to the tree and nestle amongst their peers. The breeze ripples through the branches again, carrying the goddess's voice.
Yes, but not only to stop Theos, to undo the tragedy he has wrought.
The grieving mother rocks on her feet. There is a way, Watcher. There is hope yet. Birds all over the tree begin to chirp and sing, and in the rise and fall of their voices Hylia speaks. Theos acts, but is moved by another. The exiled queen whispers in his ear, urges him to rob the living and the unborn of their souls for her benefit. And he has obeyed. A hawk shifts on its perch. She will consume them, grow powerful while 1,000 empty children are born. But there is still time to reverse this tragedy. How could I return things to the way they were? The bird suddenly falls silent, eyes watching you. The voice on the wind returns. Guide the trapped souls back to the bodies they were stolen from, hollow-born children whose eyes have never seen the sun. The grieving mother clasps her hands together, and the chimes toll like funeral bells. Would it truly be mercy? Even while it might dry the tears of parents, mothers, fathers who tended their children, sheltered them. It would confine children to half-grown bodies their souls have never known, bodies ravaged by years of confinement, the cruel salvation, worse. You could restore them, give their families hymns of joy after years of lament. The breeze tickles your ear. Peace and restoration give purpose to suffering. There is no meaning, no redemption in pain that does not lead to fulfillment. Symmetry demands that a great rejoicing follow suffering such as this. Of course Hylia wants to do something about the Hollowborn. But she did also reveal the whole game. The exiled queen whispers in Theos' ear, urges him to rob the living and the unborn of their souls for her benefit. That's it. That's it. That's the whole plot. One and two are arguing with Hylia. We do not need to make a choice. Thank you, Hylia. I will continue to Sun and Shadow.
When you reach the burial isle, you will find souls there that I have granted reprieve for their sins. I give these to you, for only they can bear you to safety on your journey down. And when you face Theos and the rotting fruits of his endeavors, remember the conversation we have had. In that moment, you will have power rivaling a god's. And after it, you will live in the world that you have chosen.
That's a cool thought too.
Choose restoration, Watcher. Return the souls to the bodies they were stolen from. Swear to me that you will do this, and I shall give you power to make even Woodica quake. I can be merciful and terrible, Watcher.
Great wings, dark against the sun, unfold behind the tree, casting a blinding shadow across the temple for the briefest of moments. Well, this is the hope I once held to, and I see it as a false mercy, an extension of suffering. Snatching these souls from their lives was Theos' crime. Let us not add to it by snatching them from their natural cycles. I would hear what the other gods have to say first. Hear then, and choose. All of the birds spread their wings and take flight. As they flock and swarm around you, you again glimpse someone watching you from within the maelstrom of feathers. Her glance is full of compassion and hope. The birds rise towards the sun. They blot it out, reminding you for an instant of a dragon and a shadow. But when your vision clears again, you are standing in Tir Evron. And this is what we're doing. We've completed the tasks for each god, and now we speak to them and ask for assistance. And they ask for one thing in return. We have a random quest, which will likely be completed very quickly, because remember, these quests trigger every time you complete a quest or make progress. We are about to complete 3 additional quests, so we should do it now. In the southern Adir province of Magadan, the wizard and inventor Galef spent decades creating devices that could mimic magical effects and properties. His fellow wizards viewed Galef's work with disdain, but one area of research intrigued even the elitists, a device that could replicate entire magical objects. The key to Galef's research was an enchanted mold. When Galef died of old age, his remote workshop was eventually plundered by southern barbarians who had been sacking the province for years. All of his work was believed to have been lost. Recently, an anonymous patron has been inquiring across the Eastern Reach for aid in recovering some of Galef's research notes, using leads that were discovered by unknown means. Right up your alley, Kana. Have some fun, buddy. Enchanted mold, where is Vampire Lady? Jeez, wizard. That's good. Galawain. You stand once again before the shrine of Galawain in the Hound's Head constellation which marks the pedestal. From time to time you hear a low rumbling sound like a growl. Before we start, I'll note, hey everyone, we take a 10-minute break at 8:30. And everyone in the VODs gets to skip it by moving ahead 10 minutes. Lucky them. Shout out to our friends in the VODs. But let's use up some more of my voice, shall we? You kneel, prepared for the shift this time. The cool stone gives way to warm soil, soft and loamy. The candle smoke dissipates, replaced by the musk of the forest. The hound howls from the foliage. Howl back. Something leaps from the bushes nearby. You find yourself pinned on your back and staring into the amber eyes of a massive hound. The beast looks at you. Gleaming fangs protrude from the sides of its mouth. Its nose twitches as it inhales your scent, starting at your shoulder and proceeding down the length of your arm. You follow its nose to your hand, which is covered in blood. A tongue as red and meaty as a steak lolls out of its mouth and swipes your bloody hand. Its lips curl into what looks like a smile. The beast looks back at you. As it fixes you with its glowing eyes, its muzzle retreats into a long bearded face, and its pointed ears lengthen, dropping to the sides of its head. What was a massive hound becomes a giant of a man, his broad muscled shoulders draped with furs. He holds a flint knife to your neck and grins, revealing a row of long, pointed teeth.
You have slain 2 mighty hunters. Blood flows in the maw, yet no victor emerges.
His voice is
Why have you denied me my champion?
His voice is a growling whisper. So that a new champion can arise.
Fresh blood. The new feast on the carcass of the old. Grow strong from the other's weakness.
The changeling throws his head back and closes his eyes, breathing deeply of the cool air. Hilariously, if you do say the wrong thing, I don't think he straight up kills you, but the dialogue is he slits your throat and you die and then wake up. That's it. You fail the quest. Actually, I think you complete the quest, but you certainly don't get a positive outcome. If you're like, I killed everyone because it was funny, lol, the vision ends with you dying. Yeah. Luckily, it's not a game over dead, but you get some narration of you just straight up dying. He lets out a howl that rings through the air. He lowers his head, puffs at steam rising from his panting mouth. Twigs crunch and branches snap. The ground shivers under the weight of pacing, prowling footsteps. A dozen beasts, bears, wolves, and long-fanged cats stalk out of the undergrowth, their matching amber eyes fast on you. Such ferocity. Beasts that glory in bloodshed, in destruction. What will an alliance with one such as him mean? As the beasts encircle you, their master rises to his feet. Even the largest of the bears can reach only his round and muscle-knotted shoulders. You stand, mindful of the ring of predators surrounding you.
You sought and won the favor of Galawain. What new prey do you now pursue?
I hunt Theos.
To track a quarry, you must understand its movements. And Theos follows the path of a more powerful master.
You can't pick number one unless you've learned from another divinity that Theos serves Wartica. And you can say, I must stop Theos from feeding thousands of souls to Wartica. And you could. I think it's actually slightly more interesting to have each divinity tell you. Galawain the Changeling bears his sharpened teeth again. Magrin. This is a twist as well. Some of the divinities talk to one another. A warm breeze carries the smell of smoke and gunpowder. Sparks ignite and float in the draft, catching in the leaves over Galawain's head. A sudden blast of heat scalds your face, and even as you turn away, a flash of light sears your vision through your eyelids. When you look back, you see a woman in full plate standing next to Galawain. Her mirror-polished armor flickers with images of reflected flames. You can't see her face, but her voice is strong and clear like the ringing of steel.
Let him know his foe.
The voice of Magrin.
Theos has trapped thousands of souls in sun and shadow like rabbits in a snare. Now, he goes there to retrieve the kill for his master Wartica.
One of the bears paws at the ground in irritation, its hackles rising.
She will feast on them, suck their marrow, grow strong on their essence.
The god closes his eyes and inhales deeply. As the Stalegal watches you, it licks its lips, its tongue scraping long fangs. Why would Theos help Wartica?
Because he is her hound. He has always done her bidding.
His eyes dart to another figure standing just behind Magrin.
Wartica stands for an old order. So does Theos.
Her helm pivots sharply towards him. Abaddon. A golem made of blackened pitted iron steps out of Magrin's shadow. Its movements are slow yet precise, each footfall accompanied by the groaning and grinding of metal. A steady orange glow of furnace coals emanates from its eye sockets. In Abaddon's crude yet efficient form, you see an uncanny resemblance to the eyeless, yet his limbs are more finely wrought, his joints more flexible. You also feel the essence of the eyeless teeming within him.
They both fear change, and the Deerwood has changed much recently. People find answers not in the gods, but in animancy, the product of their own labors.
A gear clicks within its jaw, and Abaddon speaks.
And why not? When they have learned that even a god can be killed.
Reflective flames shiver in Magrin's armor. She says that like it wasn't her followers that unleashed the god hammer. What should I do about it?
Track Theos. Follow the trail he has left for you, and corner him in sun and shadow.
Jump into the pit!
You must stop him before he empowers Wartica.
And if you do, you will have a different decision to make.
Gears whir and clank as Abaddon gives you a slow nod. Aloth's eyes widen. The gods mean to leave this in our hands?
Souls were ripped from the world, ripe and full and pulsing with essence. Scatter them like bones to a pack of dogs. Their essence will strengthen the souls of the Deerwood. Let the remains of the dead feed the survivors.
Why? One of the wolves slavers, baring its teeth in a wide grin. Why would I feed the lost soul's essence to the rest of the Deerwood?
To breed strength. Power is born from the mixing of essence and blood.
The wolves snarl and snap. Exactly, Luxie. 4 is finally that leave option you've been begging for.
What Theos did cannot be undone. Thousands of lives have changed, and thousands more have ended because of his actions. But transformation gives purpose to trial.
A plume of flame ripples across her breastplate.
And improvement is the goal of all Kith. Long lives, prosperous futures, stronger minds and bodies. Strengthening those who remain will help repair the damage that Theos has done to the Deerwood.
Funny that we can say, I thought you said the cause of preservation, Abaddon. Now that, we know that's not the truth. let's say it. Why not?
Essence cannot remain in a dead body, any more than oil in a broken jar. Even though the stolen lives cannot be preserved, their essence can be used to ensure the survival of the dear wooden remnant. Thus, the memory and vision of the lost may live beyond them. This is the nature of preservation.
Let's make them angry. If Waterkin can accomplish this, then perhaps she deserves a victory. The bear at Galawain's side rises on its hind legs and roars. It falls back on all fours with a ground-shaking thud. Galawain points his chipped flint dagger at you.
A victory that leaves her ruler of all. No room for conflict, no struggle, not even between the gods.
Be careful what you wish for, mortal. Woodica's ways are regressive. Her laws never change, her authority never ebbs, and she never forgets a slight.
Waterkin is the divinity of oaths, vows, and is known as the Broken Queen. She's the queen that once was. She's no longer in power, but still holds that regalness. This would be restoring her to that throne. Remember the phrase, when Wodica is back in her place, all things will be equaled, or something similar? The exiled queen, exactly. I don't know who Magrin's voice actor is. I encourage us to do a quick Google and figure it out. Mako has previously done some searching, but she's unavailable tonight, and also knows how hard it is to get the list of voice actors for Pillars, because they didn't credit them appropriately.
Wodica would crush the Deerwood simply out of vengeance for the rebellion against Adir, her favorite. She would stamp out Animancers, Godslayers from the Saints' War, and anyone else she viewed as heretical or dangerous.
Probably Watchers as well. It'd be justice for the purgers to see some of the persecutors face a wrath. Not the right kind of justice. Not the kind that heals. A dear woke king loves restorative justice. She would take out Durance. About that. Now, I've got to find Theos. I'm not even going to say that we don't care.
And when you descend the pit to Sun in Shadow, you can count on our assistance to see you safely through. As I hope we can count on yours when you reach the bottom. There are many souls upon the Burial Isle that are sworn to serve us. They belong to you now, and they shall guide your descent.
Magrin steps closer, her brilliant armor ringing with each movement. The beasts grow restless, pawing the ground and eyeing you with renewed interest. The bear sniffs at the ground but next to your leg. One Stalgar skulks into the circle, its amber eyes glowing. Galawain hurls his knife between your feet, sinking it to its handle. He raises his empty hand.
Hunt him, mortal. And when you stop him, let the souls he has captured feed the Deerwood.
Strengthen the souls of those who remain. Prepare them to face the challenges that will follow. Pledge that you will do this, and we will grant you a power fit for the finest warrior who ever lived.
Betray us, and my beasts shall track you down. Our allegiance is not to be accepted and cast aside.
I would hear what the other gods have to say first.
Consider and calculate, but decide.
Galawain's hand falls, and the growling pack lunges into the circle. The vision vanishes in an instant, returning you to dear Everon, where the burning candles replace the glowing eyes of Galawain's beasts. So, you may see what we're getting at here, right? We can accept a boon. We swear to do the thing they ask, and we get a boon for it. As a group, we will vote on which boon we accept, and then later, when we're given the choice to actually do the thing, we will vote again on whether we're actually going to keep our word to the divinities. Once more, you stand before the shrine, the skull constellation which marks its dedication to Berith. As you pray to Berith, you again find yourself on the road. Squinting into the distance, you see a short, pale figure waiting for you. At first, you think it's another vision of Archdruid Restin, and then you notice a figure's skeletal frame and rictus grin. He stands in front of another skull gate, but the way leads down, not onwards. He beckons for you to approach. That must be the usher. Aloth's voice is low. Behind you is a woman, her skin milk pale against her black hair. She wears a suit of armor so dark it seems to suck the light from the stars. The road winds up in a mountain behind her.
A toll, traveler.
She holds out a hand. And the pallid knight. Pay the lady. You drop a few coppers into her hand. She closes her fist around the coins. You instantly feel a small weight added to your purse. The lord of this road demands a toll of all, but he lends generously that all might travel his road again. Behind her, the usher grins his lipless smile and waits. The road bores into the mountain, and you find yourself in a gigantic cavern. The ceiling curves up and away, and it's dotted with moisture. At this distance, the shining beads look like stars, clustered and scattered in constellations. The usher and the pallid knight lead you up a trail carved into the edge of the cavern. Two identical cave mouths wait up ahead, and you follow the usher to one of them. Standing at the edge and gazing down, you see an endless, ever-changing plain bisected by a road. Only then do you realize that you're no longer on the road. As you follow the road to the point where it disappears below you, you realize you're standing in one of the eye sockets of a massive skull. The usher points to the road. Archdruid Riston appears below you. He's just as you remembered him, stern and smooth-skinned. Yet with each step along the road he grows, swelling with blood and essence. His heavy steps become slower and slower until he stops altogether. His distended body fills the path completely.
You met a dwarf traveling this road. What did you do?
Reston stood in place for too long. I merely set him moving again. The pallid knight's flesh is taut against her skull. She nods once, barely dipping her chin. This is important. You actually do need to answer this appropriately. And Bereth is the hardest to answer. Gallowin is easy. Be aggressive. Done. Bereth here is like, why did you kill them? What's important about it?
Life is kinetic. Forward motion. 100 beginnings and endings nested within 1,000,000 more.
As Reston's swollen body ruptures, the effect is like a dam bursting. Ghostly figures, as hazy and indistinct as wisps of smoke, continue along the cleared path. Some tumble and rush along, while others amble and drift, but all continue forward. The usher directs your attention to another figure moving down the path. This time you see a high ovate Erona. As she follows the road, her movements become slow and erratic. Her legs creak with every step, and her feet grow long, thick roots that burrow into the ground. She finally stops, rooted in place.
You found a tree that had lived for centuries. Its roots were deep, and its boughs sheltered many. Why did you cut it down?
Here, Luxie, here you can see a more obvious wrong answer. I'm tired of the tree's endless riddles. Or, I thought that if I cleared the tree, maybe the Lord of the Road would grant me a boon. That's... funny, exactly, but, how is Bereth going to reply to that? Divinity of Death? Non-binary monarch? I think 4 is more appropriate. It was a parasite. While its branches sheltered others, its roots sucked them dry.
All draw their life's energy from the deaths of others. This is why all must remain part of the cycle of death and rebirth. No creature may be a closed loop unto itself.
Erona's body petrifies below, and the shimmering leaves of her hair blow down the path. You seek another who has lived his lives on the brink of the cycle. He sits on the inside of the wheel, observing its revolutions. With each life he is plucked from the stream and returned to it intact. Why do you hunt Theos? For answer, actually. Hey chat, I know we're coming up close to break, but I still think it's pretty important. 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1. Theos has entrapped thousands of souls for Watica. I've got to stop him from giving her absolute power. 2. 4 answers. He understands what has happened to me. 3. Revenge. My soul's torment is his doing. I will make him play. I will make him pay. And 4. I seek a resolution. In confronting him, I'll put an end to the pain he's caused me. None of these are the wrong answer. We are beyond the point where Bereth is like, I'm pissed at your response. We answered, we rationalized our answers, our actions, and that was enough. Which is good. It's the same. It's like one additional step to say, did you just lock into the solution, or are the divinities actually pleased with your character's actions? And that opens up opportunities for roleplay as well. Being able to recognize that you did the right thing or something they agree with for the wrong reason, and then having the divinity respond to that is good. That's interesting. Good writing. Like that. Included in your tabletop games. We got several votes for one, and I do like that. Theos has entrapped thousands of souls for Wartica. I've got to stop him from giving her absolute power.
If you know this much, then another god has already spoken with you.
Remember?
And given you half of the answer.
Remember how I was like, you don't know the full plot until you've spoken to another divinity? Theos serves Wartica. She desires an escape from her own cycle. Power without decline. Theos has removed thousands of souls from the cycle so that their essence might empower her. The black depths of her eyes threaten to swallow you. You must stop him, and you must return them to the cycle. What end would it serve to send these souls back into the cycle? Attending to these souls is a question of stability, Watcher, of maintaining the natural order of the world and the ebb and flow of essence. Couldn't they be returned to the Hollowborn? As battered, burdened things, do you mix soured wine with fresh? The kindness you seek lies in giving them a new beginning, not shackling them to this life. If Theos has meddled with these souls, perhaps it would be better to destroy them? The cycle is merciless, but is not wasteful. Time and the endless procession of rebirths eventually grind souls into dust, but until then they must pass from the world and return to it. A continuing movement advances the cycle itself. Cycles are changeless and monotonous. Surely there's a better alternative. Not a good thing to say to Berith. We're going to say it anyway. The illusion of revolution is only merely part of another cycle, and a painful one. True change has structure, geometry. It is a product of cycles within cycles, 1,000 gears spinning and moving the universe by degrees. What's wrong with Wartica seizing this power? Dude. The cycle of kith is a thing of balance. Likewise is the cycle of gods. We rise and fall in the favour of mortals, only to rise and fall again. But Wartica seeks the power to place herself outside this cycle. She would root herself and grow to the detriment of others. The Usher silently gestures to the road, where a broken tree and a husk of flesh are still visible. I think I understand what you're telling me. The Usher gestures to the road and the starry expanse beyond while the Pallid Knight speaks. I only show the vision of the motion of the universe, Watcher. Why does Wartica even need Theos' help? And why do you need mine, for that matter? Gods guide souls through the cycle of death and rebirth, but Eora is the domain of mortals. We stand aside, weights and counterweights. One to alter the tides of kith, all would follow. We would tip this world from its axis. That's why Wartica directs a mortal to do her bidding, and why any who would stop Theos must be mortal as well. I don't see what this has to do with me.
No mortal can survive the descent into the pit.
Hold on.
But there are souls on the burial isle that are pledged to me. I will grant them to you, and they shall bear you down safely, as well as light the way beyond.
So we were once again screwed by my much beloved and still faulty mouse, and I clicked what I don't see what this has to do with me, and then we clicked must go into Sun and Shadow. I don't see what this has to do with me. Theos builds a dam to divert water from a stream. The flow of thousands of souls will shape the world you live in, Watcher. Will also shape the world your soul returns to in its next lives. I must go to Sun and Shadow now. No mortal can survive the descent into the pit. Oh, actually, she read that out loud. A multitude appears at the other end of the road, raising their voices and kicking up dust as they make their way towards you. Return them to the cycle, Watcher. Promise that you will, and I shall give you power befitting a champion of death. The Pallid Knight raises a finger. Accept my favour, however, and I will demand this decision as your due. I will collect from all mortals in time. I will hear what the other gods have to say first. Do not delay long, Watcher. What Theos seeks to do cannot be undone, even by the turning of the wheel. The Usher points behind you. When you turn, you find yourself standing. You find yourself again standing in Tir Everin. Yes, and as Corey mentioned, we are absolutely running late on break time, which means we'll have our save before we talk to the last set of divinities. And I'll see you in 10 minutes. Hold on. So, talking to the twin. Oh, exactly. So, time for a stretch. I will see you in 10 minutes at 8:45. man, how cool would it be if, like, you accidentally leave the microphone on, and then several people just let you know somehow that you could turn it off. Would also be cool if OBS Streamlabs did the same thing that the other OBS did and didn't force my microphone into this scene. I could probably change that, but I'm too lazy. Oh well. Maybe it's another reason to switch back to OpenOBS. This is my beer mug, given to me by the lovely wife. And in it is a pretty odd combination of a lovely, a lovely drink that I picked up with my girlfriend in Sydney called Blasphemy, which, you know, I've used on the stream before, and I love that one as a beautiful whiskey. A coffee whiskey. I wanted to mix it with something more indulgent, so I used my fat washed rum, my butterscotch rum, and poured that in. And I've got 60 ml of each, so that's actually quite a powerful drink. And we may get sloppy by the end of the night. With some hot water, 90 ml of hot water, and then just a dash of milk to lengthen it out a bit. And it's nice. It's real strong. This is one of those end of night drinks too. I wouldn't recommend doing it any other time. But, I mean, we skipped Wednesday night. I haven't played anything else. I haven't had anything else, so I think it's pretty tasty. Stephanie's share. Okay, that's cool. Known for your name. That's really cool. She did a great job on Magrin. Sincerely. Show Bear Mug again, there's a glare on it. Bear Mug. So we want to get the glare off it. Let's move it even closer and then turn it some more. You can see upside down, and I can't invert it because it would spill the delicious liquid all over my keyboard and mouse. Excellent excuse to get a new keyboard and mouse, but no. It's pretty adorable. It's a double-walled mug. Loxy. I don't need an excuse to get a new mouse. It's got a faulty switch. The problem is, I fucking love this mouse. And if I've been looking at replacements, and I just want to get this one again, but with working switches, so I think I am going to ask someone who's got steady fingers and knows how to solder to take apart my mouse and replace the faulty switches with good ones. Oh god. Here we go. Well, let's play some more Pillars. If only we knew someone. The thing is, I've asked several people who are all like, probably not, and that's fair. But I wonder if someone's got experience in this area. I need to order the switches too. Yeah, like, I've been messaged, and it's a decent point. Like, we could ruin it forever, right? And that makes me worried, but that would leave me in the same spot, i.e. using another mouse that's not nearly as good, and needing to buy one that I really love. It's a Logitech G903, and the problem is, those faulty switches are apparently the standard for all Logitech gaming mice. So they're all bad inside. Bad. After a couple of years of heavy clicking, it starts to double click. Oh, I've been reminded we can't get the switches. I bet I can find the switches. G502 Lightspeed. Ooh, lovely. Maybe I'll just send a letter to Logitech and be like, hey, you guys, I love the mouse, so much so that I'm agonizing over buying a different mouse, and I want to use a faulty product. It's 3 years old. Maybe. Yeah, about that. And I still just, all I want is this one to continue working, to match my beautiful keyboard and headphones, which are also slightly dodgy too. Last WoW mouse, exactly, right? All this left clicking. And I think for MMOs, I can't use the keyboard that much because stretching for Control Shift and to cast all my abilities actually ruins my wrist even further. So I use a controller for most games now. Anyway. Once more you approach the shrine in the constellation the Beast of Winter. This time the cold emanating from the shrine is unmistakable. A thin frost is formed upon the edges of the stone. Do you think he's going to be happy with what we did? You pray again, and the vision of the white plain emerges. A driving wind returns in a chaos of whirling snow. Something moves at the center of the blizzard, plodding but relentless. As the snowstorm gets closer, you see an aurochs, as colossal and slow as a glacier. Its shaggy white hair is matted with frost, but beneath it, ribs like a ship's frame protrude. Visible puffs of air issue from Sagani's gasping mouth. It's the beast of winter. Skaen, a man, emaciated and almost naked, huddles at the beast's legs. His body is scored with lash marks, and his nose and ears have been carved from his face. His black eyes pierce the white hat. Aloth leans forward. By the wheel. It's Skaen. Aloth may have a soft spot for Skaen being a beaten and wounded man by superiors. Superiors before, right? The auroch stops and stands before you, enveloping in the violent blizzard that surrounds it. Though its mouth does not move, the beast speaks in a deep, thunderous voice.
A crack in the ice. A fissure in a glacier. I showed you the frost-hewn breach that you might seal it. But you pried it wider for the sake of the Glom felon, whose souls I had not yet begun to hew away. For all things there is a season. You brought them to winter before their time.
The aurochs utters a booming grunt. So we're going to use our stats, obviously. And intellect 19 is a high requirement too. Some changes are gradual erosion, and others are avalanches, collapses that build over time and are suddenly unleashed, both a part of your nature. But they're your faithful followers, they deserved a resolution. He would hate that. Immigrant isn't involved in making things easier on anyone.
The pitiless mechanisms of decline do not unsettle you as they do most mortals. The slowly freezing winter and the famine that destroys harvests overnight are both mine, yes.
The beast snorts, plumes of condensation rising from its nostrils. Scans, please, though. Ondra. The world shudders beneath you, and a great crack shadows across the white expanse. The ice splits at your feet, waves lapping through the rift. A low, melancholy voice rises from the depths.
I did not expect we would meet again so soon. You destroyed the army that threatened your life.
Suck it, Ondra, we lived! You love number 3? You set me up to die. When I get done here, I'm going to settle the score. You can count on it. Magan, we're building another bomb. I'm gonna blow up the moon. I don't think we would either. I'm told I need your help.
What is it you seek?
Theos Ix Arcanon, the man responsible for my current plight. And they'll tell us again about the souls.
Yet there is a greater plot at work here, Watcher. Theos acts not for himself. He is the Burned Queen's quiet slave, a master of secrets and schemes.
Okay. Is anyone else startled by Skaen's voice? Because I am. That's not, like... Yeah. It's not quite as simpering or terrified as I expected. Weirdly modern is a good way to put it, Luxie. It's a good point.
Theos is a winter gale, unseen by the world even while he carves and shapes it. Woodica directs him, sending him to wipe her enemies from Aora.
And Animancy as well. He would see those secrets lost, the knowledge forgotten.
The waves whisper.
And he would see his mistress grow fat on the essence of thousands. For her, he has harvested the unborn souls of the Deerwood.
What now?
Theos has removed these souls from the cycle. They are ice melting in the sun. Let them fade.
Of course, that's what Rimagad wants, right?
Let them forget this world and be forgotten by it.
Waves crash in agreement.
Take the souls she so desires and grind them into dust. Let her see her careful schemes thoroughly ruined.
Skane grins, still huddled next to one of the beast's woolly legs. That last one sounded a little nastier than the other two. For several seconds, the waves wash quietly against the ice, and the aurochs stand silently amidst the churning flurries.
It is the destiny of all things to crumble and join the chaos that follows this world. Some seek it willingly, as you have seen.
To mingle, roiled and stirred by the tides of the universe. It is not an unkind fate.
You would give these souls the very fate you sought to deny the Glenfarlam pilgrims.
I am the beast of winter. I neither speed nor alter my path for the whims and desires of Kith. I take souls at the time of my choosing, be it mote by mote or in a sudden tempest of chaos.
Methinks Remagan doth protest too much.
These souls, they have already forgotten their place in this world. They have been lost to existence. Let them be memorialized and mourned for an age, and then forgotten entirely.
The waves rise, beseeching you. Why do you oppose Wodka?
She desires to order chaos and shackle the agents of change in the world. Under her, all things would remain static and frozen according to her laws.
The aurochs shakes its hoary mane, exposing its prominent ribs.
Even now, she only barely keeps the pact of the gods to leave the affairs of Kith in mortal hands. She moves in Theos where she cannot move directly.
And so we call on you to do the same. Such are the schemes of the queen that was.
Skane's laughter is thin and shrill. I'll seek Theos in sun and shadow.
When you reach the burial isle, we will send lost souls to guide you through the pit. This is our gift to you. What you do after you face Theos will be your choice, but we would have you set the stolen essence adrift.
And whether you would heed us or no, understand that our end comes to all things eventually. Help us achieve it, and we shall reward you now with a power to rival Theos's.
The beast advances.
But do not choose lightly. We forget nothing, least of all a betrayal.
I need to think about this.
Do not wait forever. We wait, but Theos does not.
Rimmergand continues toward you. It's following you in a blinding, deafening snowstorm. You experience a dizzying, exhilarating disorientation, oblivious to the landscape around you and even the reality of your own body. You hear a noise that could be the shrieking winds of Skane's screeching crackle, and then it recedes with everything else. Rimmergand reappears in the distance, trudging away from you. The whiteout follows him. As a vision of snow fades, it leaves in its wake the flagstones of Tir Evron. Whoop, whoop. Oh, it's still going. I think it was just tax collected. Boring. Well, good night, Asmos. Thank you very much for joining. You're missing the final vote, but have a very good session. Perhaps we'll catch you in the VODs. Well, everyone in chat, now we actually have a decision to make. It's a pretty important one too. Which boon do we accept? Now, we do not have to follow the instructions of the divinity, right? But which boon do we accept? Now, I will read them and what they want us to do in order. Hylia wishes us to return the souls to the Hollowborn. We will accept her blessing of wings, birds. You're not sure exactly what it'll do. In fact, I won't even tell you. So the option, Hylia wishes us to return the souls to the Hollowborn. Give them back to where they should be. Put them in order. This may be traumatic to the souls and the people and the families and whatever, but hey, everything's back in order. That's pretty important. Abaddon, Galawain, and Magrin wishes to take the souls and spread the essence among all of the other, spread them among everyone in the Deerwood. Their souls, if returned to the bodies, probably wouldn't turn out super well, right? So what we should do is strengthen everyone else who's still alive. They're expecting further challenges to come, And in Magrin's sense, they've already been challenged and tempered enough. Let them have some sort of benefit from the horrible things that they've been through. Berith wants us to take the essence and the souls and just return them to the wheel. They'll be reborn eventually, okay? It's fine. If you just let them, put them back in the wheel, they'll be reborn into new souls. It's kind of just like the Hollowborn crisis would just end. Souls will be put back into bodies tomorrow, as soon as we deal with the problem. Everyone who's currently suffering isn't going to be any better, but like, that means everyone who killed their own children because they couldn't see them suffer that way, they don't have to suffer the guilt of that. But everything is just put back in order the way it should be, the way it was before this crisis was started by Theos. Andra, Rimmergrand, and Skaen want the essence destroyed. They don't want them to exist again in any form. If you destroy them entirely, remove them from the cycle, well, no one gets the power. Then no one gets the benefit from this shitty situation. Wadika's scheme gets ruined, Theos gets kicked right in the nads, and then no one is better off overall. Because, hey, it's gonna happen anyway. Why should anyone benefit from this bad thing? And while you decide, actually, should just hurry up. We probably shouldn't leave this area. We should accept a boon and then continue with some side quests before we jump into the pit. Whale is not involved. Piercing ring fills your ears as you near Whale's shrine. There's no other response. This isn't to do with any of our quests. Like, it just happens. Whale does not have an option here. The developers of the game are like, Whale honestly doesn't fit in with any of these options. And Wadika is just not here. Whale is a mystery. Time may pass if we leave and come back? No. Absolutely fine. You don't need to make this decision at this point, but I don't want to muddy the waters and continue monologuing while we make our choice. I actually want us to make the choice and not worry about it too much. It's going to be okay. Any of these options are a good one. I have a preference, but I don't mind that much. Yes, I'll wait for a moment, Emma. Thank you. It's hard to say that I'll wait for everyone who normally votes to vote, but I will give us what feels like ample time, and feel free to just say wait if you're not ready. I have a preference, but I don't mind selecting any of them. Even the Destroy the Souls is better than it seems. Hylia's, like, in full disclosure, on my most memorable playthrough, I don't remember if it was first or whether I even chose the same thing twice, I chose Hylia's. I think it makes sense, you know? Put the souls back in the body. And even grieving mother is like, that could make some mothers feel real bad. She's got a personal experience with, like, mothers feeling guilt and regret over things that they've done about hollowborn children. Because, you know, she did something. And Bereth's like, return them to the wheel, they will eventually get reborn, they won't remember any of this, and they'll be born into, like, a fresh, appropriate start. Feels kind of natural, too. But if you also hate the rebirth cycle, right, maybe it's not appropriate. And again, if you really hate the rebirth cycle, you'll be with Skaten. You're getting lots of votes for Bereth, and that's pretty good. I do appreciate that. At least you got to vote in, Hendo. I might, yeah. I'll note that no matter what you choose, they don't actually, like, punch you. Like, none of your companions leave with your choice. Even if you side with Magrin, Durance is like, yeah, alright, good idea. And I'll also note that we get the opportunity to do a different thing when we are in control, once we punch Theos right in the nats. Like, that's an option. It's actually even more interesting, because I'll admit, Pillars 2 starts with you talking to divinities, and if you have just betrayed them, that's even funnier. You don't like the commit then change mind thing, but it is giving the giant middle finger to divinities, and that could be worth it by itself, couldn't it? Couldn't it? They do get so salty, exactly, rebooting, and it's... yeah, directly being nah, piss off. yeah, I don't want to argue with that. I don't want to argue with you. But there's something satisfying as well in having a divinity like give you powers, take power from them, and then strictly use it to tell them no.
I sense your patience ebbing.
Very sassy, Grieving. We're talking. Yeah, and it's like I will give us all the option as well in case we learn things that make us want to change our minds, but it is totally makes sense. Okay, we've got enough votes for Bereth. Return or strengthen are my votes. Okay, so that one's Hylia or the Marvelous actively snoring. So Magrid, Abaddon, or Galloway for rebooting. So I'm just scrolling up on chat. We have a lot of Return to Wheel, not Return to Hollowborn. Is that right? Rebooting. Return to Wheel. Okay, yes, that's it. Bereth is absolutely winning this one then. Good choices, everyone. I think that's fair. I'm going to click Bereth. I'm going to press the button. The Pallid Knight and the Usher stand before you. Have you decided, Watcher? No other god rivals the Keeper of Life and Death for power. It's okay, rebooting. Like, that's why I wanted to give us all time to think it through and give a response. We've got nearly everyone who's been in the chat tonight typing responses, so let's stick to it as a group. Let's do it. Have you decided, Watcher? No other god rivals the Keeper of Life and Death for power. I promise to return souls to the cycle. So be it, Watcher. Do not forget your promise. The Usher reaches out and places a bony hand on your forehead. His touch overwhelms you, and you feel yourself expand. Blinded, you reach out, only to find another grasping hand of the same size and shape as yours reaching back. Slime Shadows has granted Bereth's boon. When at last you open your eyes again, you are standing in dear everyone, filled with Bereth's power. It's funny. You don't have to take a boon at all. But there's literally no reason not to. And they were not kidding. Bereth's boon. 5 defense against paralyzed, petrified, and petrified attacks. +1 resolve. That's big. You can also get similar benefits, like boons that give you a straight up large stat bonus from any one of them. I don't remember who gets what.
Hey.
But mechanically they're all very similar. FF team needs Bereth's boon. Resolve? Maybe intelligence too, so you can actually use tactics. FF3 was good fun. I sincerely suggest checking out that VOD. I'm excited to go back to it on Wednesday too. To get out of paralysis.
Stop right there.
It's even more important. Eat shit, soldier. The Phantom Soldier.
You're in the wrong city, Inquisitor.
The Phantom Soldier raises his short sword to your chest. Now we get some background again on what our soul is doing here, why our soul is so important, why Theos recognizes our soul.
Did you think you wouldn't be recognized here in your old home? I've seen your trials with my own eyes.
I've seen you light pies with good people tied to them. People I'd known many a year. He seizes you by the throat and your airway tightens. Whether real or imagined, you cannot tell. They deserve your confession. He raises the point of his sword, holding it a hair's breadth from your eye.
Thuros, what are you doing?
Startled, the soldier releases you immediately and turns to face the speaker, a woman in a plain wool tunic, fully a head shorter than he, but somehow seeming to tower over him. You've seen this woman's face before, but from afar. Bloodied and burned, she lay stretched across an iron wheel. At the moment, it is marked only with concern. Ayavara. Who is she? Well, we answered at one point. She was our sister. That was the choice we made.
An assassin sent by the Inquisition, my lady, daring to approach our camp.
he is so poor an assassin to approach an unarmed guard in daylight, I should have nothing to fear. I would hear what this man has to say. She stares him down until he can no longer face her. He turns away, sour-faced, watching you through sidelong glances, his knuckles white around the pommel of his sword.
My own brother returned home. I never dreamed this day would come.
Ivara's eyes widen as she sees your face for the first time. This also means whatever you tell Theos, oh my god. Fuck, I'm gonna regret that. I sure hope nobody clips that moment of hilarity and sends it onto Twitter. It means whatever you told Theos is actually true as well. You know? Because now Ivara confirms it. I had no right to expect it. Not the way we left things. And look at this! Oh! Look at this beautiful game design writing. Look at your dialogue options. You have 5 different lies. Right? That's fucking great. 5 different lies, and then, finally, you can just tell the truth. I had no right to expect it. Not the way we left things. And now you look at this. Please vote your options, everybody, while I read them out. 1. Lie. I hoped we might have a fresh start. 2. Lie. I just wanted to see you again. 3. Lie. I've come to help you in any way I can. 4. Lie. I've come to believe your teachings to be true. 5. Lie. The evils I've done, naming the Inquisition, are too great for me to bear. I want to help you to end it. 6. Grand Inquisitor Theos X Arcanon dispatched me here to spy on you. That's some convincing votes for 6. I'm gonna hit 6. Ivara doesn't blink. Are things as desperate as that over there? I'd never have known. I hope your next assignment is more stimulating. Listening to my lectures is dull work for a spy. I thought for sure you were lost to me forever when I learned Theos had declared an inquisition. It's a great relief to see that our family was not so easily torn apart. Whatever your reasons, I've missed you over all these years. Having you here now at a time when I'm surrounded by strangers is a wonderful gift.
I would like for you to stay here in our camp as my guest.
No longer.
My Lady Ivara, I beg of you. This is an Inquisitor. This is a desperate attempt on your life. The only way it can succeed is if you allow it to.
No longer able to remain silent, the soldier approaches Ivara and puts his hand on her shoulder, turning her aside. His voice is hushed, but by no means private.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was. If I can't have faith in one man's ability to reason, once he knows the truth, what hope do we have?
She brushes his hand away with the calm grace of the resolute.
My lady, he admits being a spy.
That should make him less of a threat, wouldn't you agree? I have nothing to hide. All I see here is an opportunity to persuade someone who could help us. We have many former missionaries here. They are our most loyal, our most helpful. Many have died for us. These are not people we should be turning away. And if the Inquisition wants my life, they can have it. But they know as well as I do that my cause will not die with me. Come. We have much to talk about.
Ivara beckons you somewhere behind her. Okay. Now, what did we actually learn? Inquisition is dealing with missionary. She's very interested in what we discover of the truth. And we've just been invited to join her in something. That's interesting. Well, now, when we go to the Burial Isle, we can enter Act 4 and end the game. That's that. So now we enter doing some side quests. Yes, Deadman and Golem King are not at all surprised at my propensity to feel like we've really squeezed the game for as much as it's worth and milked it of all the juice of narrative joy we can get out of this piece of media. It doesn't matter if it could have been 30 hours long. We're going to instead turn it into 40 and 50. Extend and lengthen our experience and joy by slowly working ourselves into it. I'm clearly talking about something else. Anyway, we have some things to do. Let's do them. David? Nope. Return to office. I believe there are people in this hall we can tell about who actually successfully killed the cat. You're welcome, Deadman. Can you tell I write smut, everybody? It's highly acclaimed, I assure you. Also, something happens when you hit max level or close to the end of it where all of the NPCs just appear badly injured. For some reason. Very odd.
Tread carefully, Estermore.
You've returned. He glances at the Huntress in the group. We hope you found the truth about my brother's fate. I've concluded my task. It's time to speak with the Animenfarth. What did you see? Where's Hewn? Red-Eye takes a step forward. Tell me. Red-Eye. The Huntress thrust her palm between you and her companion. The truth belongs to all of us, even Arthwin. He knows. Red-Eye hesitates for a moment. He wipes sweat off his face, leaving traces of red paint in his hands. I'm ready to share the truth with the Animenfarth. He looks up, and I'll make sure that so is Arthwin. Share your findings with Animenfarth. He's weird. Were they all just injured by the presence of so tough a person? No, it's probably something to do with game balance where it, like, upgrades up NPCs to make them more complicated at the end of the game, or more difficult at the end of the game, which is a good move. But some trigger that's like upgrade their current health as well as their max health doesn't change. Like, that's my guess. I'm not a game designer. I don't know what happens specifically. That's just what I assume happens. Our paths cross again, Gulls and Arms. I've been investigating Hewn's disappearance. Indeed, Arthwin and Red-Eye have spoken of little else. I do not envy your position, Galwis and Arms. Yet you get testimony may resolve the tensions between the keepers of the stone and the twice-split arrows. She steeples her fingers. When you've gathered your evidence, I'll call a hearing. Let's begin. She nods. I will summon Arthwin and Red-Eye. Their fates and the names of their tribes depend on what you will reveal to us, Galwis and Arms. This is an important quest. It's chalked up as a very, like, dramatic and important thing. You're intervening in this tribal dispute, and I hate to say that I don't care very much. I think this is a personal failing of mine. I don't think it's the writer's fault. I'm looking at it and I'm going, it's just, they were being dick. Both of them were kind of being dickish. One of them died, and now they're arguing forever. And they're seeking glory, and I would really rather, I don't know, I'm not offering it as much wherewithal than it should. Cheers, Lexi. Bethel stands at the head of the hall, lit from behind by dozens of candles. She casts a long shadow across the floor. We've gathered to weigh the claims of Arthwin and Red-Eye in the matter of Hewn's disappearance. To that end, we are honoured by the presence of a Galwis and Arms, whose insight will help us render a verdict. Murmurs of astonishment echo from the front of the hut. Warrior Watcher. We begin with Arthwin's claim. He asserts that Hewn lured him into a confrontation with the Stelgar and that he slew the beast on his own. Hewn, he says, exiled himself, fearing that the knowledge of his actions would heap shame upon the keepers of the stone. He holds up a tooth as long as her arm. As evidence, he brings a fang from the great Stelgar. On the other hand, Red-Eye states that his brother was tricked and murdered by the Arthwin during the hunt. A hunter of Hewn's renown would not have fallen in the blood hunt, but by treachery. Her shadow flickers and dances in the candlelight as she looks at you. And now we turn to our Galwis and Anams. We ask only that you share your observations, so we will find closure for these two tribes. She lowers her head. What fate befell Hewn? Chat, I'd ask you for votes, but it doesn't matter. Like, we've had at least one person here mention that it's one of the more least interesting. I don't see a reason why we'd lie, so I'm just going to say Hewn is dead. What? Red-Eye stares at you, his face contorted between surprise and anger. He turns to Arthwin. How? You puny weakling, how? The Anamenfarth whips her neck towards the tribesmen. Do not forget your place. Red-Eye's chest balloons, but he quickly lowers his chin in obedience. Hearthwind's eyes dart from side to side. The Anamenfarth continues. It saddens us to know this truth, but we must still reveal it deeper. If this is so, how did the giant Stalgar die? Hewn killed the giant beast. Of course he did. Red-Eye shakes his fist and looks to everyone in the hall. Hearthwind is just a feeble hunter from twice-split arrows and a liar. Fur bristles along Bethel's arms. Silence! Her slitted pupils narrow as she regards you. And now we come to it. Claim the truth for the 6 tribes, Galvis and Nums. Hewn tracked Hearthwind and fought the giant Stalgar by himself. They killed each other in the fight. Hearthwind tried to cover Hewn's shame, but lied about besting the creature. Your words echo along the passage of the 6 to the solemn audience. Bethel nods. It is as you say. We thank you for sharing your truth with us. The Anamenfarth turns to Hearthwind and Red-Eye. Brothers of the tribes, let these wounds mend. Go in peace and contemplate the shame brought into our hearth. Galvis and Anams, I'd have a word with you. She turns back to you. A shame upon both tribes is not what I would have wanted, but we must learn to turn our faces to these hard truths if we are to survive the coming seasons. Our integrity is a boon to us. Please accept this with our thanks. You gain an item, Sheath and Autumn. Trick spell, Sheath and Autumn. Unique sword, one-handed. Freeze damage, extra enemies engaged. This is a good tanking sword. It's pretty good. Unique, 10 out of 14 enchantment. Make it legendary if you wanted to give one of your 2 Kraken eyes. And it's already got secondary damage, we can give it an extra slaying of something. But we don't have enough Durgan Steel. It feels weird that was not that important, doesn't it?
Alright.
Not a bad track record of side quest quality, though. Yeah, it's at least interesting. I'm just giving the question, why would we lie? We're coming from outside the system. Why do we care particularly about individual tribes? Why would we bother making something up? What do we gain? To be a shit's a good one rebooting, exactly. But what if either of the tribe's people, either of the tribes spoke to us and said, hey, please tell me this thing, I'll give you this thing. Or here's why I need you to lie for me. Or something. We didn't have that? And that's a little weird, isn't it? Nope, not doing that. Explore the Burial Isle with Heravius. We'll do that. That's something we're going to do. Not doing that. Bless the Hammer in Crucible Keep and Fespires. We'll do that. Return to Radix Hold. At the mercy of the tribes. Return to Northweald. No, we can't do that. That is bugged. Well, we're actually very close to finishing all the side quests. Siege of Cragholt will take some time. That's all. It's probably a full evening to do that one. What's it even try to bribe you? Yeah, exactly. It's low stakes for us, but for the people involved, it's very important. So why didn't they try and bribe us? Right? Okay, we're going up here to pick up Durance again. Sorry. Hold tight. We're going to go deal with bounties. We're going to take Durance and kill some NPCs and rest twice. Or 3 times. And we're going to finish Durance's quest. I promised you. I said it was important. We're going to do it. Okay? I won't put you through Durance if there wasn't going to be a payoff. I care about you people. Friend. It wouldn't be fair. Okay, Sagani, it's been fun. We'll have Durance for a little bit. He should ding level 16. He did not. Coward. Hey. That leaking bag of experience doesn't drag him up to the top. The Waxmaker. Kana's patron was silent about the source of their leads, but the notes quickly proved to be valuable. A grimoire sale in the Seathwood and notes from a dead raid Saren wizard pointed the way towards 3 other wizards who were unwittingly performing research based on Galeth's stolen notes. Spread out across the eastern reach, the wizards were amiable enough but quite unwilling to part with their own extensive notes. After reporting back to the patron servant, Kana discovered that no additional services were required. It wasn't until after returning to Cadnua that Kana learned of the grisly deaths of the 3 wizards, all under suspicious circumstances. Short time later, a package arrived via guarded courier. It was addressed to Kana, and the note simply read, "A gift," in an antiquated hand. A hellwax mold. His hinged mold has the amazing power to fully duplicate non-soul-bound weapons, shields, armor, and other equipment placed inside. The immense magical energy required to fabricate the copy uses the mold for raw material and wholly consumes it in the process. The Cheese Wizard gives you the ability to duplicate one non-soul-bound magic item. Not bad. Pretty cool indeed, I'd say. What a lovely item. I have Trugs. Good to see you tonight. He's a cheeseball wizard. It's got to be a twisty. I do like twisties. It's been a bit of time, that's for sure. Stupid eating healthy. I have to log this ridiculous drink as well. Content warning diet talk. That's all I'll say. Well, that's pretty straight with our twisties. Even funny when it's a queer audience celebrating that. Okay. Yeah, that'll be done soon. Where are these bounties? I want to get one on the way. Copperlane District in Defiance Bay. Tarfos is in Stalwart. We'll do that in a moment. Deerford. Probably Deerford. Whitestone Hollow. Ondra's Gift. Nope. Clearburn Relarg. Okay, cool. Let's go. Actually, we tried to do Deerford Crossing one, and then friggin' died earlier. Remember it was that hard? We tried to deal one bounty, and we couldn't, and now we're level 16, and we're gonna go get our vengeance on a slightly lower difficulty as well. Look, we're gonna have a good time. We've also upgraded some of our soulbound weapons to the max value. We're going to get ourselves some satisfaction here. Right? What do you think?
And what does the flame reveal?
Sudden death or satisfaction? Aloth, use your most powerful spell. Go. Come on. Wilting Wind. 1 miss, 2 graze, 5 hit. Not bad at all. Level 8. Symbol of Rat Magrin. Periodically inflict burn damage on literally everyone. You've got something that makes you harder to... Yep, you're invisible. You're being hit. We're going to make you invulnerable for a little bit. Then use your Freezing Rake to deal with some enemies. Slam, you're doing fine. Never stop. You're confused, aren't you? Dominated. Never mind. Incineration. I would actually rather use the mental strength to project them outwards, inflicting crush damage on enemies. You can't cast it on yourself. You can cast it on an ally. It is stunned. We can cast it on Devil of Karok. Go. No, it's grieving with stunned, so she can't use the ability. Never mind. They're knocked down by the Freezing Rake. We'll take care of this. Hey, Durance, you're also stunned? Come on, pull out your heal. That's what you're good for. There you go. Devil is down. Heals allies and burns enemies in a ray, but is not perfectly positioned for that, so let's not do it. Affected allies knocked unconscious immediately be revived. Let's cast it on everyone. We should be good. Jail for Loxy. Jail for 10,000 years. It's very good.
I wish you...
Grieving, our rogue is down, so we're actually going to use you to walk up and do crowd control. Casting on the illusionist. Didn't get off. Ah, there we go. So we've got one of the illusionists, but we can deal with the duplicate. Still pretty low on resources. These enemies are really dangerous. Let's deal with this shanty singer, which is likely a chanter. Come on. Good job, Aloth. Aloth dealt with a shanty singer.
Yes?
Do you have the deal with the enemy right in front of you? No. We are back. Let's cast this shield once you're able to. Inspector's down. Grieving Mother, you've got to be okay, right? You're wearing full plate armor. We could rejoice my comrades, put a heal on her and Aloth. But honestly, I think summoning some Will-o'-the-Wisps might help her out a little more.
Aye?
Now that we've got slightly more enemies involved. Mieti is the best. Come on, Aloth, pull out those tentacles before you go down. You can do it. That's it, Aloth. Tentacles, please. Okay, so our poor Grieving Mother has gone down. See if we can get a sleep out. It can't hurt. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Adair's doing pretty well. Excellent. One backstabber and Deadfire Illusionist left. The backstabber is asleep, never mind. Maybe let's do a draining. No, we can't target him because he's invisible. Bounding missiles.
Damn, missed.
Aloth is down. Come on, Slam. Why don't you summon more? We'll focus on this Deadfire Backstabber. Come on, Deadfire Backstabber. Alright. So instead of focusing on the duplicates, let's just deal with the Illusionist.
Be more careful.
And maybe celebrate. Let's use the terrifying attack. Sever the soul, leaving them weakened.
Black bones of Aethys. You're not getting through.
Did anyone hear the minced oath there that Aloth just said black bones of Aethys? It's a hell of a thing to say. Gain endurance while stealing. Actually, you're fully healed. Let's not bother. Let's just deal with this Illusionist. Keep chanting, my dude. Adair's pretty wounded. Let's heal him up. And take down this Illusionist. We got it.
Might need some help here.
Not Aloth, sorry. Adair. The duplicist I thought would just disappear when we dealt with the original, but no.
Got him.
Lightninged him down. Whew, that's a tough bounty. It took down nearly all of our people. But we did it this time. The Wind's Armor, Pollax, Captain Viculor's Anger. Good item. Plus, Brynlot's Head.
Hey.
Well, what an excellent excuse to rest, huh? Ah, we're here. It's near the Foxtel end of financial year ad. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm excited for this. Durance. Your eyes open to a familiar scene. Durance sits with his staff laid across his lap, a malignant flame sprouting from one end. He is difficult to make out, his features soft, bleeding together, but the staff you can see clearly, its edgings aglow in molten orange. Though Durance's face is difficult to distinguish, there is no mistaking the hardened expression, the furrowed brow. His voice hisses and sputters, low and unintelligible, as though having a private argument with the staff. Traces of spittle catch the firelight as they fly from his lips like sparks. And to your surprise, there is a female figure behind him. You were about to call out a warning when you realize it is the Magrin statue where you met Durance at the fork. Yet, she seemed almost alive for a moment. Her cast shadow seemed as if it were moving, cloaked. Then it is still, frozen with the night at its back. Examine the staff. There's something odd about one of the symbols. A circle of 12 smaller circles. One of the small circles glows brightly, but the other 11 give off little light. They flicker and fade like dying embers. Between these hissing curses, Durance lowers his face close to the staff and blows on the fading circles with panicked rapidity, coaxing light from them, but they do not ignite. One by one, the light of the circles dies, and smoke rises from their ashes. Only one still burns. Durance hurls his staff at his feet, and it clatters to the ground. Its edges have become soft, difficult for him to find. Like its owner, the staff has become a blur. You close your eyes and reopen them, and Durance is there, picking up his staff from the ground, but the blur is gone, and you are awake. Hey, Durance, buddy. Find out from Durance what the fading symbols mean.
What is it, Watcher?
Durance doesn't need to recognize you for a second, then blinks, frowns. I had questions I wanted to ask you.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
I had another vision of you. One of the symbols on your staff, it was dying.
You see many things that aren't there, Watcher. Perhaps the symbol was for your disappearing sanity, and we are to bid it farewell while you still have the wits to grieve for it.
Durance looks at you, challenging. I saw a symbol with 12 circles. What does it represent?
That symbol? The God Hammer.
Durance frowns and the words come slowly. Then it was the God Hammer symbol I saw extinguished on your staff.
No riddle there, Watcher. It took 12 of us to build the God Hammer. Afterward, I took my leave of all of them to see what Margaret had in store for me. I've seen none of them since.
Then why were you blowing on their embers, Durance? Are you sure there isn't more to that story?
Your kind has a way of interpreting its visions to fit the version of the truth you like best. But Margaret's flame leaves no room for interpretation. Waste the time of others with your distortions and your fever dreams.
Durance locks eyes with you. 1. I saw what I saw. 2. Flames distort all that lies around them, and you never seem to be far from a flame. 3. Flames may leave no doubt as to what or where they are, but why they are is anyone's guess. And 4. No shame in that when my truth is more interesting. Actually, no shame in that when my truth is more interesting. I'm going to choose 2. It's clever. It fits with Slim Shadow's backstory and the characterization we've made for him. He's a clever, funny guy. He never seemed to be far from a flame.
It's always the way of the mad to try to convince others of a reality only they can see. But when your doctrine's the truth, it requires no convincing, only an opening of the eyes. I would purify you, Watcher, if I thought it would help.
When your doctrine is the truth. That's not what doctrine is, Durance. I wanted to ask about something different.
The cost of troubling me seems to worry you little.
Does what we learned about Wartica trouble you?
It stinks of her. It is justice, but her greater purpose was to think Margaret would fall prey to such deceit. And Aethys. Widewin had always claimed to be invading Deerwood to free it. What if it were true? What if he had come to stop Woodica's plot before it began?
That's interesting. Right? Remember, Durance built at least a 12th of the Godhammer to deal with Aethys. What if he was dealing with her plot first?
Surely Aethys earned his death at Godhammer Citadel, but not for those reasons. Not to keep him silent. If such a thing has brought about this chaos...
Durance tilts his head as if listening to an inner voice. Then he frowns, the frown deepening as he speaks.
Must we always be tools of gods? If Woodica and Margaret, if they are the cause of this, the Hollowborn, if the purges were never necessary, if Aethys was fighting back...
Durance's face collapses in fury, his body shaking. The purges?
we started saving the Aothasians from themselves, burning any that didn't die with their god. Heresy in Raed Ceres is one thing. Heresy here in the Deerwood comes with a more personal touch.
I'm going to say the same thing we did earlier, so answer that crime with one of your own.
As I see it, every Aothasian who still lives in the Deerwood puts the nation at risk. Is another dagger held to the throat of our faith.
Okay, yeah, we've heard that before. Can talk to Durance about Wodica. Is our next question. Is the next part of the quest. Let's do it. That question is I want to ask you.
If doubts and curiosity plague
What does we learn about
your
Wodica trouble you?
instincts, surely must we always be tools of gods? If Wodica and Margrin, if they are the cause of this,
Then your
the whole-
Godhammer didn't save the
if the
Deerwood.
purges were never
It doomed it.
necessary. So many lies. And Wodica, perhaps she is the next god to fall beneath the Godhammer.
Durance's body continues to shake, his hands clenching white into fists. Sweat builds, streaming down the sides of his face. Would it have been better had you been spared this knowledge?
No, I am glad to have walked this far with you, seen this truth.
Durance is cold.
Perhaps it was what I was meant to see, with a watcher's eyes.
He glances at you beneath his brows warily.
All these dances of words and intrigues, machines of men, twisted, ripping the souls of children, and by the gods, the goddess of justice. If I could end her like Aethys, Margrin burned her once. One can do so again.
He takes a breath, his eyes narrowing.
Wodica, she must answer to her own justice.
His face darkens. Justice or revenge?
Anyone with a shred of spirit seeks both justice and punishment. It burns in the heart of anyone who lives. All seek it. If the world does not balance, we all drown in the oceans. And the gods would not care. Margrin, she must be redeemed. And punishing Wodica, that will serve.
Durance frowns, his hands clenching. Margrin was allied with Wodica. She tried to kill all the makers of the Godhammer.
Is this some final joke at my expense? To test my faith further? And why would you think that, Watcher?
Durance looks at you for a moment. Then his lip peels back, sneering. He laughs loud and harsh. When you departed for Helgot's Citadel to strike at Aethys, you travelled so no one could recognize you, correct?
If all you have are questions, then I have enough of those. She is a bitch of a goddess, to be sure. But even a whore only goes so far in crossing those she serves.
Durance frowns and his smile dies as he stares at you. You said you left Ashfall without telling anyone of your departure?
You answer a question with a question. Then why did I feel her disappointment at Helgot? Why were we shamed?
Durance is silent for a moment, and when he speaks again, he speaks low and slowly, almost carefully. Because I think she tried to kill you there.
Kill me? She is a goddess. I still drink from her burning breasts, Watcher. If she wished me dead, she could trace me to my source and kill me.
Durance looks at you for a moment as if you're mad, and then his lip peels back, sneering. He laughs long and harsh. His face burns and his hand clenches tight on the staff. In the dream of the Godhammer, your spirit looked blurred, indistinct in the light, as if it had been sheared from you. Durance stares at you, his expression frozen, but he's silent, listening. If you had been damaged as I saw in the Godhammer vision, then she may be unable to see you as you once were. Durance turns from you for a moment. His face twists in thought, conflicting emotions running across his features. Finally he turns to you, his face steady.
There's no proof, Watcher. I was a fool to think you could help me see any farther than I could.
If you don't trust me, then trust your staff. Admit that the other Godhammer builders are dead. Durance turns to the staff. For a moment, you see his eyes burning, taking in the edges of the wood, the symbols inlaid there, the 11 faded circles.
They died in the blast, yes. The other 11. I was the only one to walk away. I thought we had wronged our goddess. That this was my trial, and if I could prove myself worthy of her! I should have known better. There is only one God of redemption, and I saw him ended.
As he studies the staff, you feel a wave of heat, a terrible energy rolling forth from it in waves, and so much so it feels as if the god hammer itself is alive in his hands. And past it you hear a cry like a child being born, and your eyes feel the flash of white, then 100 imagined shades of purple and white, streaming and circling into the howling of a storm, and beneath it the grinding of an ancient machine of stone, rock and metal, grinding and turning until all around you feels as if it's burning, sinking into the shadows of the earth, beneath the ground, the only place where a spirit might find refuge. When your vision clears, you see Durance, his hands clutching the staff, and his eyes are bright, burning red. Atop the staff, the flame burns cleanly, brightly. As his gaze burns, he rips his gaze away and howls, a bellowing, horrid howl, like a wounded animal, and sweat pours down his brow. We can see that justice is served, to her and Werdica both.
To think I served her. I followed her. Now I shall serve no one. Werdica's lies must be answered. And now it seems I must take fire and war from a goddess's false claim as well. I still take from her strength as I did, for as long as it lasts. For I shall not cast her aside yet, until I have drained her dry and had my fill, just as she intended for me.
Durance's face cracks into a snarl. His face becomes stone, his eyes still burning, almost hungrily. Durance snarls.
For I have learned one of the lessons of the faithful. The faithful may wound a goddess greater than any enemy. A purification is coming, and this fire shall consume them both.
Let's continue on. Quest updated. Trials of Durance. Quest completed. The Trials of Durance. Rebooting has it correctly in one, absolutely 100% correct in the phrase, oof. Pour out one big F for Durance, who suffered greatly and made others suffer. Whose sole purpose after creating the Godhammer bomb was to make everyone else better by being the worst example of a person, by being the anvil on which people are hammered to better shapes, by being the unfeeling, uncaring stone that people are beaten upon to improve themselves, by being a bad example. This burden he put upon himself was pointless, was a sacrifice his divinity did not wish for him. All his faith in tortured, shitty, explicit statements. His spurned lover, incel, I love this person and I hate them anyway for not paying me the attention I need, turned out to be pointless. He gave up so much of his own life and power and soul to put it into a bomb to do his divinity's bidding, and she cast him aside and killed everyone else in his dozen. And the only reason he didn't die is that she can't see him. All of that impact would be lessened if Durance was not the hardline traditionalist Magronite. I've been saying this whole trip, every 26 other episodes when Durance came up, I've been telling you that it serves a purpose. He's being a dick for a reason. And it is awful to be around, and it's not an excuse, and it's not worth it. I don't want him to be our party member forever, but I do tell you that the story is worth it. His presence? No. But that twist, that change in fate, that perfect example of how the divinities of the setting will use you, bleed you dry, and toss you aside is perfect. And that's what Durance is about. You don't find enjoyment in having him in your party. Fuck no, he's amazingly awful. He seems to take every line he could cross to be more awful and then stomp across it. Did you feel a little sad for him at the end? With the voice actor's amazing howl of utter dismay? I got chills and it's the 3rd time I've heard it. Thanks, Rebitting. Despair, exactly. The chills were not multiplying, no. I got another small amount of it, of that emotional impact. And I kept promising you it would be worth going through Durance's story to hear the end of it. And I am really glad we got it. I'm going to spend a bit of time making a clip for it. Because I think it's pretty important that we all have... I'm looking for a bounty. There's no reason for us to be here other than the bounty, so I'm going to keep monologuing. I just think it's absolutely worth going through that emotional experience. This is why I like Pillars. Not because I like having Durance in my party. No, he's awful. Even in my first playthrough where I was younger and dumber, more willing to excuse bad behavior, I still shelved him and replaced him with people I liked more. Flawed people, that's for fucking sure. No one here is perfect. Except Devil. Except Grieving Mother. Here we are. Confront the Paladins of Bleak Oath. We'll finish the monologue in a minute. It was still worth bringing him out of the party, adventuring with him for a little bit, to learn more about him and find this whole story and experience it to the end. And that's good writing. Sometimes, not always, definitely not always, but sometimes good writing is about feeling uncomfortable for short periods of time. Now, I sound like an alt-right shithead, and like my statement is, okay, so you make people uncomfortable to make art, and like that's not always the truth, but at some point in such a big text as this massive 27, well probably 30 episode game, you can include a bit of discomfort that the player can say, actually, I don't like you, Durance, I am shelving you and never talking to you again, or even straight up telling him to go away, because he's not plot important. He's not flagged as someone you can't send away. And you take that discomfort and you use it, you turn it into something valuable. And it doesn't have to be you point out the fact that he's wrong, feel satisfied in that. What if the sacrifices he's made were for someone who didn't want them? So I have no redemption arc for Durance the incel to his own divinity. I have no way to change our opinions for him, to make us see him as a worthy character to have in our party at all times and call him our favourite character in Pillars. But I have at least a moment of satisfaction. If you're vindictive, satisfaction that he's in pain. If you're more wistful like I am, a moment of satisfaction that this story was touching, important, an excellent example of the themes of the game. Something that's worth going through, even for the frustration and anger it caused us. And that's why I keep recommending Pillars to people. Because the game doesn't have to be perfect to have beautiful, gorgeous moments. Moments of sincere, deep emotion, deep despair. And you'll notice that even after it all, what does Durance do with the lesson they gave him? He suffered. Partially due to his own convictions. He's suffering because he's an unpleasant person. What does he do with it? He still follows the teachings of Magrin. He may have disavowed the goddess, but what did he let his pain do? Temper him into moving forward with power and dealing with the problem. And that is why we follow Magrin. Not because she makes things worse, not because she hurts you to make you stronger, but you can take the lesson and the pain that was put upon you that is not granted to you by a goddess, that is sometimes caused by your own choices, and sometimes just because life is like that, random chance makes things worse, but you can turn that into something that gives you strength. And he does. I don't suggest anyone turn into Durance. I don't think anyone should take him as a waypoint, a person to live your life by. Fuck no. He's an awful person. As Larks has said, there's no point in being such a dick. There was not a point. That was a bad thing for him to do, and he kept doing it with utter glee, said racial epithets towards Slam Shadows, the person who was giving him a place to stay, a purpose in life. But in a very difficult and dark world, if something bad can happen to you, and there is a divinity and a church and an organization that will tell you, this is hard, I understand, but let it form you into a better person. Here's how to do that. That is worth it. And that's one of the reasons I like Pillars. Anyway, we're here to find some bleak walkers. Put the blade down, boy. You scarcely know how to hold it. Hey, help me, please. They're insane. One of the paladins takes a step to the side, swiveling to face you and Esker both. He sizes you up with a lazy sweep of the eyes. Well, who's this? A foreigner. You'll have to wait your turn. We have a contract to wrap up. I saw some of your handiwork back in Whitestone Hollow. This is the dead guy's son, yes. You hear Esker gasp. Gaveston glances at him, a quiet smile forming on his face. Nasty piece of business that, but it's what the client wants. Esker here can tell you, Keith and Stalwart love their petty feuds, forever at each other's throats. Add a little Durgan steel into the mix, and you have a great many jealous neighbours. But if a nice family like this one ends up on pikes, maybe they'll sit down and discuss things next time around. You used a drunk man as an excuse for bloodshed. You're pathetic. Orlin. Gaveston's smirk disappears. Who do you think you are, you hairy little cat fucker? Holy shit! I've been asked to save Esker. You won't stop me. Alright. You have my attention. Kill him first.
Quick.
So, like... The game didn't plan this, right? It didn't. It has no idea what we just went through. But isn't it nice to have such an obvious enemy right in front of us? Isn't it nice to go... Jeez. What an asshole. There's literally no way I can satisfyingly finish this quest without killing literally everyone involved. A nice clear-cut villain to finish a Monday night's game playing on, right? A Bleak Walker Paladin, which is essentially an assassin paladin, an assassin in heavy armor. Esker stares at the fallen paladins. The dagger trembles in his hand. They told me they killed my parents. Is that true? Hope you're in the well! I'm sorry, Esker. I can feel his heart breaking. This is a wound that does not heal. Triggs! Good choice. Again, remember, this is a video game. I got passionate about it. I've got emotions about it. But it's still really funny that these options are available. I never believed Cohn could stoop to this. That rotten bastard! Esker turns his head away, fists clenched. There were 4 standard drinks in that bad mug. Kern sent me. He didn't intend for anyone to get killed. Who cares what he intended? That bastard. I'm going to see to it that he regrets everything he's done. That's the spirit. Good for you. Starting to regret saving you, kid. No, well, choose number one. Revenge is what started all of this. I'm going to finish all this too. Yeah, I'm grateful you saved me. I am. I just wish you'd turn up sooner. Starlet, moderate positive. You've gained 2,000 copper! That is really awful. Game, why did you do that? Where did he get that copper? Why do I need a reward for this quest? That's very silly. Very silly indeed. Return to Kern!
Of course.
But let's not return to Kern. It's 10 o'clock. Let's finish for the evening. Save game. We'll actually start the random quest that was given to us next week. Feel the Kern, baby! Coppers for the will. Luxy, very good. Very good indeed. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you. Very good. Okay, well, first off, I'm really impressed that we managed to finish all the Divinity quests. Excellent, that means that we are in the cleanup phase. I think there'll be, like, one episode of doing the side quests, the bounties, just, like, polishing off the game that's worth doing. We need to visit the city. We haven't been to Defiance Bay since we blew it up. Whoops, shh, don't tell anyone. And it's, like, side quests, and then maybe that one can blur into doing the expansion content of Cragholt, the Siege of Cragholt, which leads to a couple other quests. It's pretty good. It's highly enjoyable. You learn more about the sorcerers and magicians that you keep hearing the names of on certain spells, and that's pretty cool. Ads now! Oh, I'm sorry, Emma, that's terrible. God, both of you getting ads. Well, I guess the solution is you've got to subscribe to your Professor Jimbles. It's okay. I can have a shout out to everyone in the VOD, so you can catch up on bits you missed because of the ads. Corey, glad I got the good night time. Well, it was good to see you earlier. It is a shame, Corey, that if you were busy, you missed the solution of, like, the ending of Durance's quest. So I sincerely suggest you go check out the VOD for that. Oh my god, no way! Rebooting, thank you so much. You've given a gift to Emma. That's so sweet. And to Triggs! That's amazing. That's amazing. Second as well? Good lord, thank you so much. Well, they won't have ads anymore. That's so good. You hate ads, yeah. Once you become affiliate, they just, like, toss them on. It's hard to avoid. Did he die because Durance sucks? No. And I actually suggest you go check out the VOD and hear what I have to say about it, because you may not be able to scroll up and chat, but rebooting does point out that I do sound like, and actually do, get teary talking about the lessons I learned from that. And why I find Durance's quest worthwhile in the end. This bear's a great big softie. That's not surprising. Oh, rebooting is so sweet. It's really good. Thank you again to everyone. And thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a fantastic time tonight. Not only did we finish the Divinity quests, and we just have side quests before the very end of the game, but we finished Durance's quest, and I've been promising it for the whole time, and I'm really glad that we got to it, right? It was worthwhile. God, I'm going to put that in the VOD description. And to all of you, those cheering me on for having emotions, to all of you who may be continuing a night shift, thank you, Corey. And to all of you who've joined us again after a bit of a break, thank you, Rebooting. And Trugs, who joined us tonight after whatever you're doing beforehand. 1 or 2 weeks till some Stardew? About that, my dude. 1 or 2 more, I'd say. 1 if we're really lucky and fast. 2 is more likely. Maybe 3 if we're like, oh shit, we need to, like, we are derping about too much. But I'll note my Steam playtime for Pillars of Eternity is sitting at 251 hours, so I think we're doing pretty well. Well, Endo, thank you very much for coming at the Endo as well. We'll be in the new year. Oh my god. What a terrifying thought. We'll see what we can do, huh? Alright. Good night, everybody. And cheers to everyone in the VODs. This video will be up at its regular time. Yeah, I know, but like Henno gets busy and doesn't vote in every time, and lurking is totally valid too. Like the stream says, there are 13 people watching, and not all of them vote, and they matter too. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Good night.